Or maybe it'll be so long it'll have passed already. So Michael, all you're going to need is this tonight then, right? Okay. Hello, Jennifer. Not at all. Hello there, Katie. How are you? Is it just picking up or is it?
No, the sun's out.
Good. We'll be fine.
I think we'll get everyone.
Yeah, we're like
We'll start with roll call, please.
Jubei, Hartman, Cross, here. Leathers, here. McAllister, here. Young,
Here.
Pledge of allegiance.
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If not, that's okay.
All right, we have an agenda in front of us. Can I get a motion for approval? Second. Motion by Don, second by Carol. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. Public hearing on the proposed property tax abatement for parking lots. Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Scott Altenberg. And the Vice President Managing Director at PTA, Michael Hart.
Good evening, thank you, Chairperson Young, Dr. Page, and the rest of the board. Thank you for inviting us tonight for this public hearing on the tax abatement. During our March board meeting, we received approval to move forward with a resolution regarding making some fixes to our parking lot. With that, we can sell abatement bonds, and with that, we have to have a public hearing. So I'm going to turn it over to Michael here to explain why we're here for this public hearing.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Michael Hart with ETMA. So this is a continuation of a conversation we've been having now for several months with the school board related to proposed board-approved financing for projects. We've also been talking about indoor air quality and some other remodeling projects at your schools. This particular public hearing is just related to the financing for the parking lot work. And it's expected to be about $140,000 is the total amount of a $20+ million overall financing plan and project plan. We're going to go into more detail later on some of those other parts and how those fit together. But this is a required public hearing in relation to the abatement bonds related to the $140,000 of expected bonds for those parking lot projects.
Questions or comments? And finally, does anyone with us have any questions or comments about the proposed abatement? All right, thank you. Next up are the activity department updates. We'll let Kate tell us how she's doing that.
Chairperson Young, Dr. Page, members of the school board, thank you for having us once again. We are here tonight to deliver the winter activities and athletics report. We had a great season. We have almost all of our programs here today. We had a couple who have busy schedules, multi-sport athletes, stuff going on. But at this time, we are going to call up this theater here. Yep, we're going to call it theater, and then robotics is going to go next, and then athletics. You guys can line up behind them through the doorway. We'll just kind of filter them through, and they're going to share just a little bit about what's been going on in their programs.
Good evening, school board. My name is Kim Potter. I am the acting AHS theater director. This will be my final year as the theater director. Looking to focus on drama. Who are constantly joining us for different activities. We have 30 who are active, attending everything. We've opened it up 7/12 to get ready for One Act next year, which will be directed by Brian Flanders and Eric Atkin. So I was very fortunate to get a team this year and know that I'm leaving it in amazing hands. Highlights for this year, troop is 2 days a week for 2 hours. This is year round, so even though we're presenting in the winter, we've been doing this since August. We have actually collaborated with Matchbox Children's Theater because our students said that they were struggling choosing what they wanted to do, and so if they're in one place, then they have one place to go and know all of the opportunities. So they actually had one fall production with Matchbox, one musical production with AHS, and one spring production, which will be in 2 weeks, which is Shakespeare's 12th night at Matchbox. Our students have also participated outside of Austin stages. We've had students go to Rochester Civic, Albert Lee, Osage, Somerset, and even a few taking classes up in the cities. Collaborations with Matchbox have allowed us to also collaborate with Second Act, Hot Off the Press, Sweet Read, Spam Museum, Cornwall's Historic Home Artworks, and the YMCA will be joining us this summer. More and more people are asking us to come into the community, and we're happy to share all of our talents. Events we've supported this year so far, concessions at all the Somerset productions in the summer, artworks we've done for the last 4 years, Halloween downtown, Halloween warm-up, Matchbox open house, we did Christmas downtown, we've done elementary family fun nights, Michelle invited us over for a character visit, we've done the preschool showcase, concessions at all of the theater events at Ellis and Matchbox. We just finished our historic home Half Pints program with the K through 12 in all of the area schools that came over to the Hormel House, and we did a production for them. And our NHREG is coming in May to do a field trip with Matchbox, so our troop will be taking care of that. We plan on going all summer. We will also do 2 days a week for 3 hours. The students are wanting to learn how to build sets, paint with details, light, sound, video production, 3D printing, Cricut, green screen, stop motion, hair, makeup design, and the list literally goes on and on. So I need to back away from the production and get them learning from these amazing community members we have that can teach them these things. So we appreciate the support you've given us to continuing to see this grow and hopefully expanding to classes as well. Any questions? Dom?
Yeah, I was really pleased to hear at the beginning of the production Peter Pan that you mentioned it tonight, starting a Minnesota State High School League one-act play. I think that's great because not only does it give more students an opportunity, it allows the director to explore cultural issues and types of plays that normally wouldn't be put on to the public. So that's really an outstanding thing. And Ryan, I believe you're going to be deeply involved, and both of you, so it's really great. Start looking for material. I'm sure you already have. And I'd like to say, having gone to some plays in the last couple of years with Kim, you've done a great job, and we really thank you for the fantastic.
Next, we have robotics.
Good evening, I'm Joy Winter. I am one of the coaches for our robotics team and also a math and computer science teacher here at the high school.
And I'm Ann Christopherson, one of the two head coaches for the team. Furious George is our team name. We work with the First Robotics competition, which is building a large-scale robot and competing against other teams from different states a lot of times. With us today, we have two of our leaders, Ian Caroline and Cedric Poisonage, and then we have two newbies to the program. Aditya, I almost called him by his nickname, and then
Okay. Also here, our starring center that we built from scratch there is the robot. We thought we would bring that to showcase. Some of our season highlights, finished an alternate robot. So this is actually the second robot that the students worked on. They went to the first competition and decided, we could do better. And decided to build this robot with a different drive and a different system with it. Some of our other memorable moments include we've worked on building our social media presence and started an Instagram account this season. On our last competition, we struggled a little bit, did not make it to the practice round. Necessarily our wins and losses, but measured in growth and what we achieved. We had some great time making friends with people from other grades, accomplishing some short-term goals. When we were focused, we got a lot done. We did a lot of troubleshooting. We did some better scouting of other teams when we were at our competitions. We had some better rankings than we had in past seasons, and lots of members filled in with different roles on our team.
some of the lessons we learned, I think the key one is teamwork. No one can do it alone. There's roles for everyone on the team, whether you are a public speaker to whether you can build with
we actually want to invite you to an opportunity to see the robot in action. As part of the computer science department, I am going to be talking to the 9th grade seminar classes on April 21st about engineering and technology careers, and we decided to highlight our robot, and so it's going to be shooting the balls into the hub on Knowlton Auditorium stage, as long as all of our tech works, right? So we're going to do that through every single class that day, and I'll be talking about careers, so if you want to see this team in action, you guys are all welcome to come. And we hope to have more students involved and more outreach as the season progresses next year.
so, do you have any questions? How big is the team total? Right now, we're at 20 this year. Of those 25 will be maturity. So we had 15 newbies, and they were wonderful.
And we also had 2 alumni mentors that came with to our last competition, and I would say 3 to 4 consistent mentors from our community. So it's great to have some engineers and computer programmers helping with our students.
I can sing and I can act a little. When I look at what they do with this, I am in awe. I don't even know where you start with that. I can't use my TV remote. So hats off to you kids. This will go such a long way in life, this skill, so.
And that's the beauty of robotics, is it is a gateway to a career path, which a lot of, I hate to say it because I was an athlete, but there's not going to be a lot of athletes who are professional, but we can have a lot of engineers and coders and things like that as a profession.
And we're looking for marketers too, because we have all different roles, and I'm gonna talk about that on Tuesday.
And also, they can shoot the ball at you as you run across.
I'm in.
Something to do for graduation.
Thank you so much for the invitation on April 21st. I appreciate
Next
that.
Tuesday.
Thank you.
Who do we have up next?
Jefferson Young. We are the wrestling captains. I'm Michael. This is William.
And Lucas.
A few of our season highlights this year were beating JM, and then we had some younger guys have some success in the 9th and under league, and just younger guys showing up, proving they can work really hard. So I'm excited about the future of the team, and I would say that's the most notable thing I noticed this year.
And then some memorable moments. We had a senior hit 75 career wins this year. That's a big accomplishment for him, who is actually Will right here. We also, like Michael said, had two 9th graders go to 9th and under qualify for state, which is a big accomplishment for them in their wrestling careers. And then another milestone that I wanted to share about was, we had 4 people receive the all-conference honors after our season ended.
The strengths of the program would be that
some notable things was we moved up to class AA this year, and we performed respectfully at the section and state meets, considering our competition level stepped up significantly. That was a really, really big jump for us from single A with teams like Albany and Faribault to double A with teams like Edina and Minnetonka. Some highlights and accomplishments. Our medley relay became the second all-time relay in school history. And then Brent Dahl became the 5th All-American since 2018 in school history. Well, no, not school history, but since 2018. And the team had 7 AHS top 10 swims and 2 AHS records.
Some of our strengths from the team, we had a number of new swimmers this year. We had a very young team compared to a bunch of the other teams in our conference. So I think for how young our team was, we did really good. Especially, I think next year our team will do even better than we did this year, just with the number of guys we have coming up. And this year we actually had the most athletes on the team we've had since 2020. The main lesson we learned this year was that results come from consistency, showing up every day and putting in the work every day, not just 2 or 3 times a week. And a few of the team traditions that we have are our mascot Moby, who's a plastic duck that we have at all of our home meets. And then every year, at the beginning of the calendar year, we throw our Packer invite, which is historically different. It's a different lineup of events from other big invites and meets. For our community involvement, every spring we host a 2-week swim camp for interested athletes in grades 5 through 8. And we are also working to revive the Austin School Camp, which we have not had in Austin for a number of years. Looking ahead, we have 3 graduating seniors this year, so we're not losing a ton of people. And for the off season, as we've done in previous seasons, we'll have several opportunities for swimmers to swim throughout the summer. We'll have Atlanta Swimming Federation at the outdoor pool, which is 50 meters. And we will also have swimmers at the pool at Ellis being able to swim short course yards, which is much easier to swim at. We also expect the YMCA to host summer swim lessons, and we are evaluating the dates for any other needs. Our hopes for next season is we're waiting to see if we can rejoin Class Single A next year, just so that we can give our boys a better shot at making state as a relay team. And with the youth on our team next season, this will be really helpful to bring us back in line with teams who have similar competition levels to us. Any questions?
I should know this maybe, but so what puts you from one class to another?
I think it was because we had a swimmer from Bocelli on our team this year, so that combined our class size with Bocelli. So we had a much bigger class, and you get moved up or down a class based off your graduating class size. So with being combined with Bocelli, we had a much bigger class, meaning we got moved into the top 64 base classes in Minnesota, I believe.
Even with just one swimmer?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You two did a real good job explaining the program and talking about the positivities. I'd like to just say to the board right here, in the next couple of months, if things get really, really bad, you ask yourself, why am I on the board? What am I doing here? Just remember, you are a guardian of the district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Juliet Zimmerlin, and I'm Callie McGray. We are proud to represent the Austin High School gymnastics team and share a look at what we accomplished this season. This year, our team was made of 6 dedicated, hardworking, and talented gymnasts, and all 6 of us earned our varsity letter. That really speaks to the commitment, resilience, and work ethic behind our season. Individually, we had a Big Night All-Conference athlete, a state qualifier on beam, and 3 gymnasts earned All-State or All-State honorable mention. Academically, we are especially proud that our team earned a gold team GPA in Section 1AA, showing that we are committed to excellence both in the classroom and in competition.
Our team motto this season was train with a purpose, and we truly lived that out every day. We focused on intentional training, making every rep count, staying efficient, and taking care of our bodies so we could perform at our best. We also made mental training a priority. We worked on mindfulness, visualization, confidence building, stress management, and positive self-talk skills that and confident than ever before, and it showed. From the beginning of the season to the end, our team score improved by 11 points.
At the Section 1AA meet, we scored a season high of 135.675 and placed 5th. That was our strongest performance of the season, and we did it when it mattered most. We also made an impact beyond the gym. We hosted a Packer Pal Night, inviting younger students to march in with us, do our team cheer, and be part of their team experience. And we have gave back by volunteering at youth gymnastics meets, helping with scoring, timing, and cheering on the next generation of Packer gymnasts.
This season wasn't just about results. It was about growth, teamwork, and representing Austin with pride. We're proud of what we accomplished, and we're excited for what's ahead for our program. Thank you for your continued support to Austin High School Gymnastics. Do you have any questions for us?
I would just like to say, those of you who don't know much about gymnastics, I've learned a lot over in the Olympics. When they say that they're involved in the youth program here, they're serious about that. These youth girls look up to these girls. They're great role models, they're great examples. They travel to the youth meets, which I'm shocked, but thank you. So your involvement in community and volunteering is noticed. So you guys are doing a fantastic job. Thank you.
Any other questions?
How many are on the team?
She's 6.
And you do all that?
It's they do all that.
Thank you very much. That is mind-boggling. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sadie Coddington. I'm Jamie Baster, and we are 2 of the girls' hockey captains. We managed to double our wins from last season, ending with a record of 10-15-2. Some notable wins were beating Winona twice, winning our first section game, which hasn't happened in a really long time for our team, and beating multiple teams by double digits. We got to compete against last year's state champions, and even though we lost, it was a really good learning experience. Our biggest strength as a team is our chemistry that we share on and off the ice. We learn to not let negative moments affect our feelings. Instead, we focus on what we can control and work from those moments growing as a team. Some of our team traditions are Secret Santa, shopping after the season ends, gummy bear jar before home games, and foot competitions in between periods. Sorry. We do things such as bell ringing for the Salvation Army, Toys for Tots, donating to Packer Pantry, and having youth play the game every home game to give back to our community.
This season, we had no graduating seniors, which made it more of a year for improvement and getting closer as a team for the coming years. In the off-season, we are planning to have ice every week starting in the summer, as well as dryland, ETS, and lots of team bonding. Most girls do other travel teams and camps on their own time, which is a huge overall success for our team. Our goal and getting more involved with determination to win.
Is there any questions? Thank you.
Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Ellen Heine. I'm Aubrey Rujek. I'm Kaylee Clement, and we're representing the dance team. A highlight of our season was taking second place in jazz and first place in kick in the sections tournament, which led each of our teams earning a trip to state. Our biggest success of the season would be sweeping the Big Mac competition for the first time in program history, taking home first place in jazz, first place in kick, and first for the overall title. A team accomplishment was earning the Silver Academic Award, having our team cumulative GPA being between a 3.5 and 3.74. Some individual accomplishments were having 4 athletes make the All-State team, 2 representing kick and 2 representing jazz, as well as 1 senior earning the Academic All-State Award. Our team culture and growth. One of our greatest strengths as a team was keeping a positive outlook on everything and encouraging each other. We were also really good at pushing through even when practices were tough, and we all stayed very determined and we all worked hard. Some lessons we learned were how to work together with our younger dancers, since we had a really young team this year. And we had a lot of patience with each other and good communication, and we also learned how to deal with disappointment when we didn't make finals at state.
It taught us to be supportive of each other and to use it as a chance to grow. Our team traditions or themes were our team covenants this year that were ownership, sisterhood, consistency, and being coachable, which we did a great job of following. And our main word was trust because we knew how important it was to be able to count on each other. Our community involvement was we had a 5th through 6th grade clinic in March. We will have a 6th through 11th grade clinic on May 18th through 20th, and we have a K through 6 kids clinic in the summer. In this past successful season, we had 6 seniors on the team who will be greatly missed and made a positive impact. They will be referenced and remembered for the next season coming. In the off season, we are still constantly training to be prepared for the winter season. In the summer, we offer summer clinics and are open to anyone interested in joining the team. We have many special guests and instructors that teach other successful teams and give us insight from outside perspectives. We focus a lot around team culture and growing technique and strength over the summer. We also attend Just for Kicks camp in Brainerd in July. Our hopes for next season is to grow a strong, resilient team with leading by example. We are always striving to make sure that we become stronger dancers every practice, as well as stronger people. We are proud to be a part of a legacy that holds high expectations, and we are committed to keeping the legacy steady for the next coming season. Thank you for all your contributions, and do you have any questions?
What are your t-shirts? Can you explain that you all three have the same t-shirt? Can you tell us what they mean?
These were the team covenants that I was talking about. This was our name, word, trust, and these were the 4 covenants that we followed throughout the season.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Chloe, this is Gracie, and this is Anijah, and we're representing girls basketball. Our team captains this season were Chloe Cannon and Gracie Art, which were our senior captains, and Atia Bay and Addison Walsh, which were our junior captains.
Okay, I have the season highlights. So one season highlight was our game versus Casson. The game determined our seeding in sections. It was a competitive game, and we ended up tying and going into double overtime, where we lost 70-73. Despite our loss, it showed how competitive our team is and how we don't give up. Notable wins, games, and successes. One notable win was our game versus Mankato East. We won the game 60-46, and it was one of our best games of the season. Because of how well we played as a team, we ended the game with a season high in assists with 19.
We have some memorable moments. We have a shout out for our teammates. First, Gracie Arndt broke 2 rebound records, single season record. The record was 259, and she ended the season with 289. And the single game record was 27, while the previous record was 20. She also received honorable mention. Second, Jade Erickson, our team's only 7th grader, started out playing C squad and ended the season by playing 2 halves of varsity and being a valuable asset to our team. Chloe Cannon had the academic all-state and high distinction. Finally, every person on our bench scored a point in a varsity game this season. Some of the players who scored the best varsity points this season were Amir, Lee, Piper, Jade, Philippi, and Miranda.
Throughout the season, our team grew in many different ways. Our team's chemistry grew every game, and even though our record didn't look the best, we didn't give up and ended every game with our heads held high. Some lessons we learned was the role we had to fill for our team's success and the importance of doing your part, which is an acronym our head coach Bonnie created. P for positivity, A for appreciation, R for
in 2 summer tournaments. Our hopes for the next season are to recruit.
I like the point that you made about every person on that bench scored at least 1 point in every game. And a lot of times you think of a team, you think of the starting five, the first seven, but everybody on that bench contributes, whether it's in practice, cheering in the game, in the hallways during the school day, talking about basketball. That's really a great accomplishment. And so too is being Minnesota All-State, is that what it was?
Yes,
That's
academic All-State.
Academic All-State. Good job, girls.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Layton Ruger Winslow. I'm Logan Winslow. We are representing boys high. Our captains for this year were Kyler Sanders, Elijah Kruger, Max Joseph, and Kale Walker, but they couldn't make it today, so they chose the next best. Our season highlights, our record was 9-17-0. I think the best game of the season was our last game against Farmington. We lost 1-0. Farmington was number 1 seed, we number 8 seed. That was pretty good. And also, we beat Red Wings 6-2 after we lost to them earlier in the season 5-1. Some of our strengths for the hockey team, we do the drill called the Marshall drill. We do it every practice and we got great at it. It's amazing. Lesson we learned is it's all about having fun. You don't usually have to win to have fun, you just have to have fun. Community involvement, we have a few players on our team that help and coach the younger kids and younger teams. And yeah. This year we have 9 seniors that will be graduating, so it's like half our team. In the off season, a lot of our players do summer camps and play on summer teams. So our hopes for next season is that we win the state tournament. Any questions?
What's the Marshall drill? You're smiling broadly when you talk about the Marshall drill.
It's kind of hard to explain. You kind of just have to be there to witness it.
That's all he's going to say about that. I feel like there's a vibrant youth hockey in Austin. Do you see a lot of kids coming up when you're graduating so many seniors?
Oh, this year there's not too many because most of Bales this year are younger. We have 2 people coming up from Bales, so they'll get a spot on maybe varsity. One of them's really good. And then the younger kids, they have a good shot at going to the state this year. The Bales is there. There's some talent on there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That concludes the winter activities report. Stay up here, I think I'm next.
Keep going, yes, next we have the summer ETS update.
Correct. Again, welcome, or thank you for having me. The summer months provide a critical window for student athletes to develop physically, mentally, and socially outside the demands of the school year. During the academic year, time constraints, competition schedules, and academic responsibilities often limit an athlete's ability to focus on long-term development. A structured summer program fills that gap with intentional, consistent training. So we are joining forces with ETS this summer. We will have 2 sites. We'll be here at the high school, and if the numbers prove to be healthy, we also have Ellis as an option to have 2 sites. Whether we split them up, middle school and high school, I think it will all depend on registrations. But our summer ETS Strength and Agility program is designed to support students in grades 7 through 12, so incoming 7 through 12 for the 26-27 school year, by providing access to safe, supervised, and progressive training opportunities. The program emphasizes foundational strength, speed, agility, mobility, and injury prevention, key components that benefit all athletes, regardless of sport or experience level. Why it matters: 1, it builds a strong athletic foundation. 2, it reduces the risk of injury. 3, it promotes equity and access. 4, supports mental health and confidence. 5, strengthens school culture and connection. And 6, maximizes a limited development window. In order to kind of kick off our registration process and promote it, I had the pleasure of working with Ryan Mayers. And he kind of, already before the meeting was over, I could tell he was forming the video in his mind. So he was able to put together a promo video, which we highlighted last week on social media. So we would like to show it for you today. So as you can see from the last part there, just some of the detailed information, it will run for 9 weeks this summer, starting June 1st, which is the first day of our summer season that we can have through the State High School League. It will go through August 6th. With that last week, they'll be doing test outs to kind of see their progress throughout the season, or the summer season. It will be offered 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Scheduling again and groupings will kind of depend on, our numbers and our age groups. And Sam Perkle, our ETS trainer, he will also be running it in the summer. And Jesse Sinneground, who runs the Ellis strength stuff out there, they have been talking to him to see if he'd be interested in partnering with ETS, kind of independent contractor through the summer, to then help the Ellis kids out through there to have, really good programs for middle school and high school. Do you guys have any questions?
So Katie, Sam was the young man from Ruling Prairie.
Yes.
Who came and spoke to us that night.
Yes.
How's he doing?
He's doing great. They just had a baby, so they are off for a little bit, but he's doing good. The feedback from the kids is great. He's really interactive, listens to their needs and listens to the coaches, and they work really well together. It's been a really good year.
So he enjoys the job?
He enjoys the job.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Katie, this is basically the first year you just got over, is that correct? Or last summer was kind of the kickoff of BTS?
Yeah, we got started just a late start in August. We didn't get started as early as we wanted to, but we are, finishing up the first school year under this, yeah.
Is the general plan to keep it kind of the same structure next year?
I think
Do you know
so.
what that looks like yet?
But we don't know what it looks like yet. I have sent out feedback forms to my head coaches to get their thoughts, and I'll take that to ETS so we can kind of look at all that together and figure out, what went well, what maybe do we need to improve, and, times, just, kind of overlooking everything to see if there's any changes that need to be made. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to move into the flag football program report?
Yes, please. All right, third and final agenda item for me. Across the state and country, girls flag football is experiencing significant growth with increasing participation at both the youth and high school levels. It's also a collegiate sport now, and in 2028, it will be featured at the LA Olympics. So our decision to pilot the program aligns with our commitment to provide inclusive, forward-thinking opportunities that meet the evolving interests of our students. This school year does mark the first year of our girls flag football as an activity in our district, made possible through external grant funding with the Minnesota Vikings. The purpose of launching this program was to expand participation opportunities, increase equity in athletics, and respond to growing interest in emerging sports for female student athletes. Before Ruth does come on, when Ruth does come up, Ruth is the one that came up and asked me her freshman year, Ms. Carter, can we get a flag football team? And I said, I don't know, let me look into it. So, students come with their interest in, the follow through. And when we have opportunities like that, because, things do cost money, and we have those opportunities to partner with the Minnesota Vikings and, bring a sport in. I'm proud to say that we have 63 registered girls playing football. 63 girls. 24 of them are also spring sport athletes, or 23 of them. So that leaves 40 girls still. That will be their first or second sport for the school year. Our coaching staff, we have 3 paid coaches splitting 2 stipends through the grant. Our head coach is Tom Compton. And then our 2 paid assistants are Elise Hebrink and Mission Du. And then the 2 volunteer assistants are myself and Tiki Brink. So we practice right now just 1 day a week, Wednesday nights from 6 to 8. So we take it after the regular sports practices are over, so girls that are playing spring sports have the ability to come join us if they're able. We kind of, piggyback with the weather, whether we're on the track field or in the dome. So we practice 6 to 8 on Wednesdays. The girls have been bugging for extra practices, so actually starting tonight through the rest of the season, we're going to implement Monday night optional practices for those that can make it from 6 to 8. That picture right under the logo there, last week, Coach Compton went down to the Style Lounge and picked up 8 pairs of cleats that were donated courtesy of Midtown Auto Clinic and the Chateau Raceway. So we will kind of loan those out for the season for girls that don't have cleats, and hopefully we can build that because, things cost money, cleats and receiving gloves, but it's been great. They work hard, they're excited, they want to learn about football, and they're ready for April 26th, which is our first games. Our games are played on Sunday evenings with the club team. We don't have that restriction of not having Sundays off. So our JVs will play at 2 or 3 o'clock on Sundays, and 4 and 5 o'clock will be the varsity games. So we play double headers every Sunday. We will host at Haas Field Sunday, May 17th. So we will be putting a big campaign out there to try to get people to come out and support our girls. I just wanted Ruth to come up here really quick. Like I said, she was the one that came and inquired, and through persistence and opportunity, here we have it. And I just kind of wanted her to share her thoughts on what's going on so far. Ruth?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ruth Talawale, and I am a 10th grader. I just want to start off by saying this program that Katie Carter helped start means a lot, not just to me, but to everyone that is on the team. This program is more than a sport, and it creates opportunities for girls to be involved and to feel fulfilled, like for the girls who don't participate in our sport. This program helps the team build leadership, discipline, and communication. And although we aren't very far in our season, I can say that a lot of the girls are getting along. We feel like they belong in something as great as this. And I'm just really thankful that it happened, because I really wanted to play some type of football, but I didn't want to get tackled by guys. So I was just like, can we please try to figure out something? And I'm so glad that girls step forward and are willing to put their all into this and be just at their best and enjoy the sport as it goes along. Do you guys have any questions for me?
So since you kind of were the start to this program, did you help recruit? Because I had read that there were 68 girls. I thought that was phenomenal. Did you help recruit, or did this just everybody was so excited about it, they all just wanted to sign up?
Okay, I kind of helped a bit because I started the flag football page and I started posting stuff on there, and then I would also go around and hang up flyers, and if I see someone, I'm like, hey, you want to play football? We're awesome. Any other questions?
We also did an interest meeting in the fall, way back in September, and we had 75 girls show up to the interest meeting in September. I think it was right after homecoming. So to see out of that we got 63 girls signed up out of even 75, whether they were there or not, I would say you did a really good job of recruiting. Yeah.
Who are we playing?
So we are in District 4. Do you remember the teams in our district?
No, I just know we're playing Fairmount and some.
So we're in District 4, and our district is ourselves, NRHEG, Fairmont, and WEM, Waterville, Malaysia, Morristown. And then week 3, we will travel up to Lakeville and do a cross district where we're scheduled to play Lakeville South and Farmington. And then there will be a bracket playoff state championship, and that is hosted in Egan at the Vikings practice facility on their outdoor turf field. And that, I believe, is Sunday, June 7th.
So have you had any like scrimmages or anything?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, the first week, I would say we kind of practiced on our throwing skills, trying to identify who our quarterbacks might be, quarterbacks and receivers. The second week, we were route running, so we're learning signals, we're learning routes. And then last week, we kind of put it in where we are starting to get in formation, learn a little bit of zone defense, and we got our 4 receivers up there. They're all running different routes, and so it's fun. We're prepping for it. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So is it a passing game or is it a running game or both?
So it's both.
Yeah.
There's no tackling, obviously, but the quarterback will receive the ball. She gets 5 seconds to release it before then it becomes live. And then, let's see. It's just a flag and, yeah. It's a 5v5 league. So we gotta try to figure out how to rotate 63 girls in the play. We told them they might not play every game, but everybody will be able to touch the field at some point this season. So, yeah.
Very exciting.
That's fun.
Where do we find the merch?
We are working on an online store. We haven't got the link yet, but we'll share it with you. And we got uniforms, and so those they said will be guaranteed before the first game. So we're ready to go.
Thank you. Thank you for your persistence in getting this going.
Well, that's it for me. Thank you for allowing me to take a good chunk of your first hour. And I look forward to seeing you in June for the spring report.
Thank you. Next up is our superintendent's report, Dr. Page.
Thank you, Chair Young. I just want to start with some just brief information from the Minnesota Department of Education. They recently shared instructional resources connected to, this is last month, the Women's History Month. These materials highlight the contributions of women across science, education, the arts, and public service, and they're available to all of our teachers to support classroom instruction. And the same communication that MDE shared, they've also included some nationally recognized observances, also including Transgender Day of Visibility, which took place on March 31st. This was also a broader awareness calendar for schools earlier this year as they plan learning opportunities. And this is also an opportunity for Congress. So thank you to the Minnesota Department of Education for these resources. Just a note on our graduation update, we saw a strong gain in our 4-year graduation rate this year. It was up to 80.6%, and that was a 5.6% point increase ahead of the state growth. When you step back and look at the patterns in the Austin Public Schools and the decline and stabilization and now a clear upward shift, it tells us that the system is starting to respond. The most important change is happening earlier in our system. A few years ago, about 15% of our freshmen were failing their first semester, and today that number has dropped down to 6%. That difference is between students starting behind or starting on track, and it directly connects to the graduation outcomes. The improvement is led across the system. Just a couple things to highlight with that is our 9th grade seminar is building organizational accountability early and also exploring career pathways. BAR is strengthening relationships and using real-time data to respond sooner. And also our achievement and integration plan, which you heard information from earlier from Christy Beckman about the work that's taking place within that. So it's not just one program that's impacting that, it's alignment. And I would say the key point is this, is that the changes were made earlier in grades are still moving forward, and these results is just an early indicator, we believe, not the ceiling. And our focus stays consistent on strengthening our transitions into the middle school, and out of the middle school into the high school, keeping an attendance priority across the system because presence drives outcomes, and ensure supports are consistent across our buildings. This information that we saw with our graduation information is a meaningful step forward, and the work is trending in the right direction. We really appreciate everyone's hard work on our results. Just a couple focus highlights across the district, and I know Executive Director Tim Ruzek is here tonight to talk about Boston Public Education Foundation, but we really appreciate their support in supporting educators and staff across the system. I'll let him talk more about that tonight. Last week had our Military National Guard signing that took place in Moulton Auditorium. We hosted the regional ceremony this year at Austin High School. There were 16 students that committed to serve. This wasn't just a recognition event. It reflects the students choosing a path of service, structure, leadership after graduation. So congratulations to them. We also are recognizing our Austin Music Hall of Fame. We had 3 new inductees this year. Christina Paulson, Deborah Martin McDonough, and Tiffany Augustin. And these recognitions matter because they show the long-term impact of our programs. And if you haven't had a chance, you can look more deeply into the Austin Daily Herald that had a significant write-up on each of these inductees. Just want to congratulate Coach Denny Bray, who was named the Section 1A Girls Hockey Coach of the Year. Since we last met, his leadership is helping rebuild and stabilize that program, and this recognition reflects that progress. Also, just an acknowledgement to the KEL Excellent Educator Award, Kristen Welker at I.J. Holton Intermediate School. After 40 years in education, her focus is simple: making sure students feel known, supported, and capable, and that consistency is what strong classrooms are built on. So congratulations to her. Also want to recognize our Austin Airs, the smooth sailing show that took place a couple weeks ago. It was an outstanding tribute. Certainly reminisce of driving around with my parents in the car and listening to all the music. So they kids did a wonderful job. Culture Week just took place at Austin High School. I'm sure we'll hear some more about that tonight. There was a student-led, included performances, speakers, and a cultural showcase, and it was a good example of our students taking ownership of the school climate and learning from each other. And then last week, we had National Assistant Principals Week. Our assistant principals are often the ones solving the problems in real time, supporting staff, managing student situations, and keeping schools running. And their impact shows up day to day in the stability of our building. So thank you to them. And just looking ahead, we have a couple things later this week. Is our night of poetry, which is April 15th, will be taking place in this room. This highlights student voice across the district. Events like this give our students a platform to reinforce that their ideas and perspectives matter. And also, hard to say, believe that we're close to graduation. Project graduation planning is underway for the class of 2026. And this has been a community-supported effort since 1989. And it continues to provide a safe and structured celebration for our seniors. It takes a lot of volunteers, and the support is really important, and it's what it keeps going. So thank you to them. Overall, I see we're making progress where it matters most, student outcomes, and that's tied directly to more aligned work across the system. And report.
Is the prom right around the corner?
Prom is right around the corner.
Did you say 40 years that teacher had?
Yes.
40 years. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we'll find the school board reports.
I wanted to echo Dr. Page's comment about the Austin Airs show. I attended it on Saturday, the Saturday show, and it was phenomenal, and it too brought me back several years. Enjoyed all the performances. Everybody did a phenomenal job. And I also attended the National Guard inductee ceremony, and so I just want to thank the 16 inductees for their service. The Apex meeting, Phil Burkhart gave a presentation on the Austin Symphony Orchestra, and then 25-26 season is the year of the piano. There's a concert on May 3rd at 2 p.m. Roberto Plano will perform pieces from Rhapsody in Blue. And then the other presentation, Carla Miller and Mirna Hernandez Lopez gave a presentation on NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. This Alliance serves 7 counties in our area. They're a nonprofit, so they don't charge at all or bill insurance for any type of support services or the educational classes. They have 8 workshops that are approximately 90 minutes each that equip participants with knowledge, skills, resources to improve mental health well-being to diverse communities. And one of the statistics that they shared was from the Mental Health America. It really took me back to hear the statistics because it said 46% of Americans will meet criteria for a diagnosable mental health condition in their lifetime. 55% of adults with mental illness do not receive treatment, and 12% of youth experience a major depression in the past, or have experienced a major depression in the past year. So this is a phenomenal organization, and they do have a website if anybody is interested in finding out more information.
Anyone else?
Could I,
Yes.
I'm going to piggyback on what you said about mental health. If you had a chance to look at this in the latest journal, it's entitled, the article is entitled Principals Speak Out. And it was a survey on topics that impacted principals in the schools that they are in. And the important thing that I took from this graph is that the number one, by a long margin, the number one activity is the single greatest challenge to principals addressing student mental health issues. That is the number one. It scored 114. Addressing chronic absenteeism was number 2. And we are currently working on that. The attendance committee from last year has issued a large paper on that. And then number 5 is addressing staff mental health. So those things are extremely important in our world we live in, but are also very important in the schools that we manage. And then I was interested in one of the analyses is that what could the school board and district leaders do about these challenging problems that exist in our schools? And one was to convene a roundtable discussion with local principals to discuss the findings and apply to their local contacts. So that means getting the school board and the principals in the district to sit down together for a couple hours and talk about something that is of concern to all of us. And I will also say, I think it was 47% of the principals responded to that survey. Normally, when we have a survey in the district, it's about 18%, right? So that was a really good cross-section of the principals in Minnesota. I know it's a long meeting, but I feel it important that I mention to you the latest Southeastern Service Cooperative update. We had a meeting last March 17th at the Wood Lake Conference Center in Rochester. And the robotics team was talking tonight. And that, I like the fact that Ann Christopher was talking about, well, a lot of those kids aren't athletes. It's a spot for them to be, and that's really a great thing. And I feel the same way kind of about speech. You know, it's a nice resting place for kids who might not look chiseled like those wrestlers did. And so there's a welding competition, if you remember, and our school did pretty well in it last year. And we've had some really generous support in Southeast Minnesota where some businesses have kicked in thousands of dollars to support that. Remember last year, one company in Rochester had a state-of-the-art welding facility, allowed the competition to occur there. So great things are happening in that welding program. There's another activity that is greatly needed, maybe even like football. We had Tess Kruger, a longtime city administrator over at Houston, retire after like 30 years on the board. We picked up, I shouldn't say picked up, Al Roeder came on board. He's a city administrator in Byron. And then Mitch Lance is the county commissioner in Fillmore County. He came on board, so now we have 4 school board members, a city administrator, and a county commissioner. So we have a wide range of individuals. I would like to just applaud the speech team, sending 3 students to the state tournament. That's awesome. You had #1 in your category. That was awesome. And then I read the other day in the paper, a lady wrote a op-ed piece about poetry. And she talked about in this chaotic world we live in, where all the headlines are negative and people are at each other's throats, there's a corporate footprint on sports, education, everything. Maybe it's time for us to nestle down and read some poetry or write some poetry. And as Dr. Page mentioned, in this room, 2 nights from tonight at 6:30, there'll be poetry readers from every grade and all of the schools. I encourage you to come out. And the nice thing about that is the acoustics are great in this room. So you're going to hear what kindergarten has to say. Some rooms in this school, you can't say that. You'll hear everything they have to say, and I believe they put it on the whiteboard too. So you can see it and hear it at the same time and celebrate poetry, which taps into our social, emotional beings. I really encourage you. Pull out a poem, go pick up a phone and read it and just relax a little bit. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, next are student representative reports with Michael Gary and Lydia Massar. And Lydia is going to get first.
Chairperson Gibay and Ms. Young and members of the board. My name is Lydia Massar and I'm going to present the first half of the student report. But I do have some stuff to share from Culture Week.
I think it's good.
Well, while we wait for that to get up,
Asking for permission.
asking for permission.
Yeah.
Try to like set it okay, so. Well, in addition to Culture Week, earlier in March, we sent an all-girls group to the DECA State Tournament. It was an amazing opportunity for the team to be able to perform and to be able to just showcase their like business skills. And then not only to be able to, were we able to compete on the state level with people from all over the state, we were also able to connect with former Austin alumni at like a Fortune 500 company, and we got to sit in and learn about like how we can apply like our business skills that we're learning through DECA in the real world and like how that might look like for a career. And it was really like eye-opening and like very insightful to see like what can I do like after college and after high school, like what can be my plan. I could really like see that a lot of the girls were really envisioning themselves being like going to business and going to those different fields. We got to see like some like Super Bowl commercials. Like we met with like a company that like was, I think it was Accenture, and they literally made commercials for the Super Bowl, and there was this super huge company. We got to see like real impact of like former Austin alumni being able to see like how girls who like kind of near us are able to like really like successfully do in the like business world. And then I would also like to talk about our speech team. We had a very strong showing at sections, and a lot of our students performed really well. I'd like to thank Alice Osmondson for placing third in storytelling and earning her second straight to state award. And then Martha Lopez, who took second in great speeches. She's someone I've seen work super hard this season. She's been in Miss Francis' office, Miss Francis' classroom every single day, and it's really nice to see that her hard work paid off and she got placed second. And she's going to go skate with us. And then along with Sam Northern, who placed in discussion, and Louis Adjoli, who's our co-captain of the speech team, who also placed ninth. And the state tournament will be April 24th, and these past coming weeks we're just going to be preparing and being able to do that. And along with that, a lot of our team is actually placed for the national tournament, so it's the National Invite event of tournaments of champions. It's called Night Talk, and that will be taking place May 7th through May 10th. And Alice Osmondson, Martha Lopez, and Lois Adjoli will all be going to the national tournament, which will be in Shakopee this year. And then I'd also like to thank Kendra Ward and Daniel Hanson for their work as speech coaches. They have truly shaped our program into such a competitive environment, and I'm truly thankful for the help they put into help us shine at speech. I think like going for my freshman year, I feel like I've had such a great successful season and such a great career with speech, and that wouldn't have been able to be possible without Kendra Ward and Daniel Hanson, so I really appreciate them for their hard work. And then lastly, I'd like to recognize the meaningful event that I was able to attend, the military signing ceremony. I'd like to congratulate the 16 students who competed in the National Guard, and this ceremony was incredibly powerful. It was filled with passionate, hardworking students who have committed like a lifelong passage to serve, and I was really proud of all of them. And a close friend of mine also signed that day, and I was really proud of her. And I can't wait to see what they all do in the future.
There's up in your upper right corner. Can you share the public link?
Yeah.
Then I can.
Okay, time for the Culture 2026 recap. First, I'd like to say that it was a huge success this year. Last year when we were thinking of doing this, we were doing it for the very first time. We were scared of how it's gonna go, all the planning, it took lots of blood, sweat, and tears. But this year we're just hoping to do it again and make it more inclusive and more fun and just to amp it up a little bit. So here here's our culture basketball tournament flyer. Some teachers coming out to play for the basketball tournament, and the teachers ended up actually winning the competition, which I was really surprised about. And they ended up having to battle with the African Student Association for the final spot. Here's some pictures of the ASA team, and as you can see, like this year we were trying really hard to be more inclusive and being able to make it more fun and more people to pop out this year. I think after like doing basketball tournament, we've had like a really big open team filled with students from all different grades and ages, and it was just a lot more inclusive this year. I was really happy about. Here's another photo of like all the teams. And then here's Mr. Schmidt and Mr. Santino, because he did sub in a couple times. He made a couple shots. And then something else that we had was a cultural showcase. We had that in Christow Hall during 6th and 7th hour last Thursday. I think it was absolutely wonderful. We had a big show of students and people coming out to watch and support us. But we also had a lot of students come out and perform and put themselves out there for the first time. We had like a guitarist group, we had a woodland group from the Student Organization of Latinos, which was really beautiful. And for our Pep Fest, we actually had the Student Organization of Latinos playing like a dance group, which was really fun, really hype. And we also had a Karen dance group, which was a lot more fun. And we were just able to showcase our culture to each other, and we were able to come together as a school, which really just made me super happy. Here's like a photo of like all the people in the cultural showcase. We did have people from all over, which I was really happy about. And here's some more photos of like students who dressed up and were a part of the whole thing, the Culture Week. As this is student-led, we had a big student population of like students come out and help plan the event, and it was completely student-led. We didn't like let the advisors take over or anything. It was completely all of us. We like did all the planning, all the blood and the sweat and the tears, and it was a lot. But it was a lot of fun. And then for our Pep Fest, we actually had the Austin choir sing, and they sang a song called Mana Baraka, which is a song completely in Swahili, and the choir did a great job. And then we had Elaine, who's my vice president of the African Student Association. She kind of introduced choir, and she talked about how meaningful it is to be able to spread our culture with not only Culture Week, but the choir sang the song for their state competition. So I was just really proud to see that we're able to share different languages and the different languages spoken in the district, that we're able to come together and showcase them. And then here's our language video that we submitted with Mr. Myers.
You belong in Austin. You belong at Austin.
You belong at Austin.
You belong in Austin.
And you belong at Austin.
You belong at Austin. You belong at Austin.
I think that's all I have. Any questions?
Nice job on the event.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you for providing more opportunities for all of our students to feel like they belong in our public schools. It was a lot of hard work. And thank you to Ryan or whoever. I watched a lot of clips on that day on Facebook or something else. So I love having all of that available. So thank you.
Thank you.
Chairperson Young, Superintendent Page, members of the school board, I'll be presenting the second half. To begin, I'd like to say thank you to Lydia and all the people involved in Culture Week for making that happen. It's one thing to hear all the stats about how many languages we have and different cultures in our district, and it's a whole other thing to see it and feel it, and it's really empowering, and it's a great way for students to show who they are and their true identities. Secondly, I'd like to recognize the Austin Air Show as well as the elementary tour we went on, which was a great success. The performance highlights the talents, preparation, and dedication of the students involved. And I would like to give a special thank you to Mr. Ackerman and all the volunteers who put hours and hours into that show to make it happen every year. I also would like to thank the elementary schools for letting us go there and show our talents to them as well. I don't think they realize how much it means for us to share it to them and see all their smiles. to just show our talents and be able to inspire the youth. Next, I'd like to highlight the strong start to the spring sports season. Many of our teams have already begun competitions. Tennis has gone 2-0. The baseball team, I think, is 3-0, and then golf 4-0. And then the golf won this tournament at the Hayfield Open this last week. So I'm proud of our spring sports teams and the strong start. In other news, 105 Austin students traveled to the St. Paul River Center to attend iFest, the International Festival of Minnesota. This cultural event celebrates global diversity and features over 60 nations and ethnic communities. Students had the opportunity to explore music, dance, food, arts and crafts, and cultures around the world. It was great to experience a meaningful opportunity for students to learn more about cultures from across the globe. And this is just another example of Austin doing what it can to make all cultures feel included. I would also like to recognize the important role that the assistant principals play in our schools. As students, we like to see firsthand the difference they make every day. They are steady leaders behind the scenes, solving problems, supporting staff, and making sure every student feels seen and supported. Their work helps shape the culture of our buildings and strengthen the experience for both students and educators. So thank you to all the assistant principals in the district. That concludes my second half of the report. Any questions?
How are the new tennis courts?
The new tennis courts are awesome. It's very relieving to not have to worry about a crack when you're playing. They also have a lot less puddles on rainy days like today. That makes a big difference.
Good to hear it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is our consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve? First from Aaron. Second? Carol? Any discussion?
Yes. Are these policies, they're in the consent agenda, correct?
Correct.
Okay, can I ask, I went back and
Oh,
looked at
you
all.
missed your microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I went back today and looked through all of these, I know we talked about them. All I'd like to recommend is in policy 625, the AI policy, in Article 2, letter B, it's the first mention of H-A1, that human, and it's, could we put parentheses? I know it's in the definitions down below, but it's the first mention. If we could put human, AI, human in there. I remember the first time I read it, I was thinking, I wonder what that means. But when I looked at it again today, can we do that, Sharon? Thank you, that's it.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next up, Austin Public Education Foundation overview with APEP Executive Director Jim Bruce.
All right, good evening. Thanks for the invitation to come here. I'd be love to come back again and give some updates at this annual or whatever you like. But starting as the executive director position for Austin Public Education Foundation in November. It is a side position. I'm still. He gave me instruction. I messed it up somehow. So I started in November. It is a side job. I'm in the Watershed District. Looking forward to King Mobile May 11th through 15th out at the Cedar River at Ramsey Mill Pond. I just figured out we've done this since 2018. So my first fourth graders, because all Austin Public Schools fourth graders come through this King Mobile program. They'll be graduating this year. So we've had thousands of kids out there, not only from Austin but the rest of Monroe County, Bloom Prairie, and Hayfield, and Hollandale as well. So looking forward to that. But I am very grateful to be in this side role with the Public Education Foundation. Located also in the Austin High School Museum, so I love that, the history part. But I am trying to keep some regular presence in that office and around the high school, and trying to engage overall more with the community. We have a great, well, I would say as far as my connection to Austin Public Schools, I'm a 1999 Austin High grad. My mom was a longtime elementary teacher. My dad served on the school board. My wife Heather is a teacher in the district. Her daughters attend Austin Public Schools and served on the Austin High Alumni and Friends Association, I think, for nearly 20 years, and helped with Jenny Lindbergh create this twice-a-year post-sentinel publication, which we do a lot also with the Public Education Foundation. I've been on 2 OES committees and served more than a year on Austin Public Schools Facilities Committee. I'm not a handyman, but they keep having me back there it's been very educational. So our board, we have a very engaged and talented board. They each bring some different perspectives to the foundation's work. It's chaired by the school board chair, Karen Dubay. Our vice chair is Christine Kosovas. The treasurer, as of last fall, Liz Kellner, another Austin High grad, and she's brought in some great ideas as well. Our secretary is Derek Gustafson, the Southgate principal, and then other board members are Nicole Edwards, Lori Marco, and more recently we added Tagger Medgarden and Maria Frank. We have some non-boarding members, Jenny Lindbergh of Alumni and Friends, Phil Burkhart, AHS Music Hall of Fame, and Joel Sheik of the AHS Athletic Hall of Fame. So we help fundraise for them too. We have funds that we can accept, donations to support their causes. In my role, working with the board, these last 5 months, trying to improve our operations, doing kind of an internal review of how we do things, our policies, and but also in how we can help generate support better. So, adding Venmo and PayPal, which was more difficult than I thought it would be. I had my own Venmo to get that through, but trying to make it easier for people to donate and share fundraisers for us. We help support that more recently, Moore County CEO program. They use our Better World site for their silent auctions. So trying to connect better with our public and also expanding our public engagement. From the alumni side, it seemed, from my experience with the Public Education Foundation, is the grant distribution and then the Packard Classic every year. I like to spread that out throughout the year. So we did April 4th, a fundraiser night with the Bruins for the first time, and they had a pretty full arena, so it was nice that they plugged us a couple times and played a 30-second video too, so and raised a little bit of money for the foundation. So we hope to continue to build off of that and other partnerships in town. The Packard Classic, as I mentioned, was off last year, but we're bringing that back. This would be the 27th annual Packard Classic Golf Fundraiser, July 13th. It is a Monday, but hoping we can fill out a lot of teams for that. We're starting to get some sponsorships in. And again, the proceeds from that go back into the foundation to support Austin Public Schools, which, that's why we were started in 1990. First grant is, it's amazing how much it's grown. It was $500 in 1992. And then more recently, as we just announced, 89 grants totaling more than $112,000. Thanks to the Hunting and Packer endowments. The Huntings, the late James Hunting helped start the foundation back in 1990, and he and his wife Joanne donated $100,000 that will never be spent down, so those earnings have grown over time. We also, since 2019, have received major contributions every year from the Hirsch Foundation, which has been has helped expand our offering, but we're able to do as far as grants. And then, of course, support from the general public, including donations to the floor on the wall. We've been busy adding plates to the floor on the wall in the gym lobby concessions area of Austin High School. And so a lot of different ways, again, trying to engage and get people thinking of the Austin Public Education Foundation, whether it's an endowment, a scholarship, like the class of 1960 started the scholarship fund that they continue to add into through us, or those, looking to support our general grant. So just a quick overview on this year's grant process. My first one, we did review 105 grant applications, awarded 89 of them. The awarded grants for the 26-27 school year, and they go across the district. So CLC at Woodson, all 4 elementary schools, Fulton, Ellis, Austin High, Alternative Learning Center, and then ones that are more district-wide. As far as the areas that they support, I think it's pretty impressive as far as these grants, and the credit goes to the staff, teachers, administrators who applied for these, but they help support math, reading, music learning, orchestra, band, photography, 3D printing, video game design, robotics, social studies, language arts, science, teaching, and supporting students with special needs, theater productions, physical education, problem solving, safe space tools for calming students, play centers, multi-language learners, Packer Pantry, student council, and more. So it's, again, to the credit of all those who took the time and effort to apply for these grants and use the creativity, having the vision for these, and then, you know, we've had the great challenge to see what we can award and, you know, help out the district in that way, and that's why the foundation was started in 1990, was specifically to support Austin Public Schools. We also had things at Packer Endowment, multiple sports that were supported by grants for the next school year, including the new weight room as well. These grants will help practicing, training, and competing for those athletes. And I also want to thank all the Austin Public School employees who do that pay it forward payroll deduction. We do get benefits from that too, throughout the year from their payrolls. Lastly, just want to thank you for all you do, and always feel free to reach out to me and let me know how Austin Public education can improve. I think we're hoping for even better next year for the grants that will be distributed. Any questions?
I don't have a question. I want to thank you for the work that you're doing. You're doing incredible work.
Thank you.
Even just your social media presence and your invitation to others to be part of that is.
Well, thank you. No, we have a great team, and I've enjoyed working with them. And in my connection with the school makes it's easy to get behind. It's a passion for them. So.
I appreciate the update, knowing who's on the board, who's impacted by the donations, who started the foundation. I mean, those things I didn't know, and you are a conduit of knowledge, I think.
Some stuff. Yeah. Thank you.
So the 105 grants that you received and awarded 89, 105, is that like normal, or is that like really increased this year, or?
I think it was up from last year. I mean, we did have a big $20,000 grant last year, so the overall number of grants was less, but the amount was slightly up, and I think the grant application that came in was up as well. A lot of people like me that waited till the last minute, so we about doubled our grant applications. It seemed like overnight by the deadline, but a lot of great thought put into those applications, and so hopefully we'll be able to keep fundraising more, and we can fund more of those. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we'll have the bar update with Allison R.J. Bolton, Principal Dewey Shara, AOE ALC Principal Dr. and Bar Coordinator Deja Taylor, and Karen Dunbar.
Yeah, we're all good though. So Chairperson Young, Dr. Page, members of the school board. Good. How about that?
Yeah.
Did that help? Perfect. We're here tonight to talk to you a little bit about building assets and reducing risks, and to center us in our
Clicker.
So we're not using mine?
Oh, you didn't get it to work. Click.
Okay, there
There we
we go.
go. Let's center us in our work here and talk a little bit about our strategic plan. First of all, our mission is to inspire, empower, and accelerate our vision, preparing all learners to make a difference in the world, and our core values, being responsible, resilient, a learner, a communicator, and a contributor. Tonight, communication is probably our main focus. We're asking you to be active listeners, and we're going to provide information for you to help you do that. And our strategic priorities, support resources to ensure a safe and welcoming learning environment, Packer profile for all learners, district-wide multi-tiered systems of support for all learners, and excellence in resource management. Should you have trouble falling asleep some night and would like some material to help you do that, you could read our site improvement plans. When you do that, look at strategic priority number 1 and 3. You'll see a lot of our bar work in strategic priorities 1 and 3. So tonight I have Dr. Kabine, she's going to talk to you next, and then we have Karen Dunbar, our bar coordinator at IJ and Ellis, and Angie Taylor, who is a social worker at the high school. Thank you.
All right, so I'm just going to touch base a little bit on our desired daily experiences. So when we think about BAR, it works because it brings things together in schools that often keep separate. Strong relationships and real-time data. For students, BAR means that they're not invisible. Every student is known academically, socially, and emotionally. When we combine consistent relationship building with shared data, we can respond early, not react late. The results that our students are more engaged, not just in school, but in their learning and their future. When we think about families, this translates to consistency and trust. They know their child is seen, supported, and monitored by a team, not just one person. Communication improves because we're aligned, proactive, and focused on the whole child. And when we focus on our staff, BAR strengthens how we work together. Instead of operating in isolation, teachers collaborate regularly around students using clear, actionable data. That means better decisions, shared ownership, and the support educators need to do their jobs well, so they can create safe, healthy, and responsive learning environments. What makes BAR different is that it doesn't replace what we're doing, it strengthens it. It's designing systems approach and supported through ongoing coaching and professional learning, so implementation is just not a one-time initiative, but it's the same way of working. At its core, BAR ensures that every student is known, every staff member is supported, and every family can trust the system around their child.
Alright, I'm Angie Taylor, I'm the bar coordinator at the high school, social worker at Hart, and I will be giving the update tonight on the high school.
I'm Karen Dunbar, and I'm the bar coordinator at both Ellis and IJ Holton. This is the BAR model, and I know people have seen this before, but we still wanted to start with it because these are really the 8 strategies that we focus on every day. And every day that we are here, I have this on my bulletin board, and I read it right away when I'm starting my day because I want to make sure that the work I do is aligned with these strategies. Okay, when we're talking specifically about IJ Holton and Ellis, IJ Holton is in their first year of implementation, and this is our structure. We have small block meetings for 40 minutes once a week, and there are 8 different small block teams of teachers, and big block meetings are 30 minutes a week, and there are 2 teams, or actually at IJ Holton, that's a misprint. IJ Holton, it should be 4 teams. There's 2 at the 5th grade level and 2 at the 6th grade level, and then Community Connect, there's 1 team, and that meets weekly. And at Ellis, you can see that it's very similar, small blocks. We have 6 teams of 45 minutes apiece. And big block, we actually just have 2 teams. We have 1 7th grade, 1 8th grade. This was by design. The teachers really like having a time when there's a lot of them all together and really focusing on the students in their grade level. And at Ellis, we're really focusing on the integration of MTSS and BAR. We are also focusing on that at IJ, but because it was the first year, we still kept Community Connect and IST separate. Whereas at Ellis, our IST intensive support team is combined with our Community Connect in one meeting, 45 minutes weekly. Okay, and this is a little bit of data around our BAR meetings at IJ. We have currently discussed 66% of our students, that's 490 students, using this strength-based approach, solution-focused approach. At our starts at small block, moves on to big block if we need to, and moves on to Community Connect if that is needed for a smaller group of students. At Ellis, we're at 60%, about 420 students. Last year at Ellis, we did made our goal. Our goal is to talk about every single student. And some students will spend more time on than others, but we still want to touch on every single student. Every single student has strengths. We make a SMART goal, and we really at least spend a few minutes just highlighting that student. U time and I time lessons, this is a big part of BAR as well. The U time lessons are about 30 minutes in length. There's 30 lessons on Thursdays throughout the school year, And these are for all students at IJ. It's a whole school initiative at both IJ and Ellis. Ellis is similar, but instead of taking place just in one classroom, being the homeroom classroom, at Ellis the I-time lessons take place in 4 cores, and so they rotate. At the end of the school year, we will have completed 32 I-time lessons. They rotate between science, language arts, math, and social studies. And you can see the topics on the bottom, those are the same as in years past. And so it really is a spiraling curriculum. If you think about starting with our 5th grade, they're having these U-time lessons in 5th grade, and then they'll have them again in 6th grade. They'll have different lessons, but they'll still focus on those same themes. And then they'll move into them, 7th grade, 8th grade, and then 9th grade as well.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are those lessons provided by BAR?
Yes, good question. Yes, BAR provides us with the lessons, and what I do as the coordinator, I print out the lesson for the teachers. I want to make it not to be more work for the teachers, because our teachers, they have other things they're working on as well. So I print out the session. I put all the information into a PowerPoint. I make sure the teachers have all the supplies that they need. But then I also let the teachers know too, please keep with the same theme, but if you want to personalize it, if you want to add your own flair, sometimes they add in, for example, we have teachers that say, oh, I think our kids could do better with a gallery walk versus just talking to one other person. We have teachers who want to do that as well. But they are all provided by the BAR Center. That's part of what we pay for. And I'll tell you, our IJ Bolton teachers this year, I was a little nervous because we are adding one more thing, but I've heard so many good comments from teachers and from students, and they know that I'm the BAR person, and so I'll bring the supplies and students will be like, oh, what's that for? They get excited. Ellis students, they kind of get excited inside, but maybe not, maybe not quite as much outside. No, they're good, and teachers sometimes they like some lessons better than others. I'll always ask them about the lesson. I collect feedback, and we had a couple recently that the teachers this is my favorite. There's a lesson where the students bring in pictures of themselves as babies or young children, and then they talk about the inner child within you, and it's really great. This is the same as last year. We really, I will shout out to the high school. They started positive postcards. They started BAR a year before we did, and I heard great things about it. So I said, hey, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's do this at Ellis and at IJ too. The BAR Center encourages this work, but not all schools do positive postcards in the same way. But our goal, of course, is that every student or every family receives at least one positive postcard. The card is usually addressed to the student, but because it's a postcard, it's a connection to families too, because families will see it. Last year we did meet that goal. Every family was mailed at least one postcard sometime during the year. At IJ, we're at about 60% as of April 1st. Ellis, we're at 80%. We'll see how close we get to our goal, but I feel like people are very invested in this. Teachers enjoy doing this. Some people have done way more than their share, just because they really believe in the mission, and they really want every single one of their students to get at least one card. 1,008 postcards total between the two schools so far. IJ Bolton, what I wanted to do is, as far as data, I really wanted to highlight on our coaching visits, because as our first year, really our job is to implement BAR with fidelity. And so this shows us, according to our coach, that she just finished her 4th visit today. She actually wanted to be at this meeting, but with the tornado warning, she felt like she should get home. So she decided not to stay. But you can see the blue is her September visit, the orange is her November visit, and the gray is her February visit. So you can see in all of those categories, she feels like we're growing in each category, which is what we want for our first year. As far as Ellis, I wanted to show some different kinds of data. Our failure rate data, you can see, I didn't have our quarter 3 data yet, so that's why for this year, all we have is quarter 1 and quarter 2. But you can see that we are moving in the right direction as far as our failure rate. The blue is 2022-23, and then we have red is 23-24, yellow 24-25, which was our first year of BAR implementation, and then the green is this year. And for our behavior data, this is from the last 3 years. Of course, we don't have the full year done for this year yet, but you can see that really dropped. We did change some other things in the system that also contributed to this drop. Our Dean of Students though does really feel like BAR is part of this, as far as really being part of those conversations about students on the front end and really collaborating with teachers on some creative solutions. And then this is our monthly behavior data, and you can see, again, we had last year that had dropped a lot from the 2 years before, but this year is the green, and in most months we're still dropping a little bit for this year. I won't read through all this, but I talked about this last year, if you remember. Catch days are something that happens at both the high school and at Ellis. And it's just a way for our students to get more time and support if they need it, and for our students who have all their work done in that core subject to have some time for enrichment activities. At Ellis, it really grew last year. Now we're up to, most of the offer is 8 different catch days through the day, 4 for 7th grade, or through the quarter, 4 for 7th grade, 4 for 8th grade, and most of our core subjects really want to be involved in that. This academic coaching, I talked a little bit about this last year too. It was a check-in program. We saw a 54.7% decrease in the number of apps for the students that participated, and we had an academic coaching class that was modeled after this, that was created based on this data. The national conference, myself and then our 7th grade counselor and 5 of our teachers in grades 5 through 8 are attending this conference, and we have a poster that will be basically posters are just hanging on the walls around, and we have one from Ellis, and this is what's on the poster. Some of this is the same data that I shared with you already. And then I'm also doing a presentation at the national conference that's focusing on the U times and the I times. Key to collecting qualitative data while focusing on the whole student. I'm going to turn it over to Angie, and then if people have questions at the end, that would be great as well.
All right, thank you. As you're going to kind of hear, both Karen and I have some similarities between the two schools. So I'll talk a little bit about what we do differently, and Sherry kind of talked about some of the things that we did same, so I won't go through those again. But this is our 3rd and final year of the implementation process. I am so thankful. I thought Dr. Caveen did an excellent job highlighting really what BAR does for our students, our teachers, and our families. It is a system, and I say it's like an undercurrent. A lot of the things and a lot of the work that we do with BAR, I say sometimes students don't necessarily see, or it's really hard to explain. But it puts a system in place, and I will say this forever, for teachers to do their best work. Teachers want to help kids as much as possible, and this system allows them the support and time to do it. And I'm very grateful for the creative scheduling at the high school that allows for that to happen, because it does put a strain. There's so many different constraints on scheduling and prioritizing, but allowing teachers to have common time who are on our teams together allows us to get this really important work done. So that's the main thing I want to say. And that is part of this whole BAR model that is up here. It's really engaging. All right, this is a little bit of a review, but I'll get into year 3. So, like I said, we are in our 3rd year of implementation process. If you remember, we started with a pilot group the first year, 2 years ago, in the 23-24 school year. So just one cohort, we served about 90 students and 4 BAR teachers on that team. And then along the way, LC kind of heard about it, and so we kind of did a makeshift one throughout the year and got that up and running. Year 2, which is a lot of our end of the year data that I'm about to show is going to be based on all of year 2. Year 2, we had both 9th grade, we had the entire 9th grade team, 2 teams. We had 5 to 6 teachers. We were able to pull in our Packer profile teachers to the BAR model, which I think has been super important to continuing to see our progress. Having those teachers on team allows us to do a lot of our interventions through that Packer profile seminar course. Therefore, we were able to team about 320 students. We got ALC BAR completely up and running. We did 9 through 11, because if you remember, we did not have 12th grade last year. So we had 9 through 11, and that the whole school was teamed with those teachers. 9th grade across the board does I times, like Karen's I times, you times. Year 3, we just kept rolling. I also wanted to shout out to the slow roll we've been able to have at the high school. That has allowed us to learn along the way, tweak things, make it better as we bring more teams on board. It also gives us more time to be creative with how to schedule more teams to get them on board. So this year we have 2 9th grade teams that are up and fully functioning. The ALC is now 9th through 12. AOA is a full functioning team as well, and we do all grades in AOA. We started 10th grade bar team, so we have 1 cohort of teachers. We're serving about 70 students on that team, and then EL bar is partially getting up and running. We had to be a little bit more creative with their scheduling, but there was a desire from that team to get up and running, so we're creative this year with trying to run those meetings. But the structured time for those meetings are so important, and how much time is dedicated to those, because that allows us to get even more work done. All right, key insights. Thanks to Corey Hawken. Corey, I just wanted to give a shout out to him. I always do. He provides BAR with endless amounts of data. He gives me data every week. Same with Karen. He runs me all sorts of reports that I want, and he usually always says yes. So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to that. Highlights, and I have some graphs, and I'll show this, is that we've seen a significant reduction in failure rates over the course of 2.5 years. We've also seen a significant increase in the credit attainment. Behavior rates, both cohort-wise and especially cohorts, so the reduction from 8 to 9, and then we've seen a reduction also that, and then attendance in general is less impacted. We're still working on that. I'm hoping some of the work that we did with the attendance task force, attendance has stayed stable, is what I pretty much say, but we want to do more work in that area. And I kind of went through this slide as well. There's more, but this slide just kind of illustrates. It's pretty powerful to watch. This is credit attainment, and so this was the year before BAR came on. 66% of our students attained 6 or more credits. 6 is important because if we get 6 every year, we make it to 24, so 6 is considered on track. So this was the year before BAR. The next years, we got up to 71% with the 1 team in 9th grade. And then last year's data, at the end of the year, we jumped 10%. So we went from 71% to 81% of our 9th graders with 6 or more credits at the end of the year. So that's last year's data. So we're really anxious to see that this year too. And then lastly, you've probably seen this. There's been a lot of social media pushes about our failure rate. Here again, we show in 22-23, our failure rate was at 15%. That was before BAR. In the 23-24, that was when we had the BAR pilot, the 1 team. And then 9th grade failure rate for 24-25 and 25-26 also then included wrapping Packer profile and joining those 2 things. And then you can see we went to 6.2% last year. I know this is really tiny, and I know, but I can show you our coaches report. That's going to show you that the areas kind of a lot like Karen talked about. We are scoring in place with almost all of them, but I wanted to give some more qualitative feedback from our coach. And that's really because it talks specifically to all the team members that I work with. I'm here presenting, but I wish I could bring my teachers. They are the ones doing all the work, as well as my administrators and counselors who team and attend those meetings as well. And so some of the highlights are, in general, we had really good feedback on our last one, on our I-time decision making. Our bar coach noticed I have one team that consistently does an exit ticket, so we get feedback on how those are going. They're also gonna do a huge shout out about Matt Schmidt and how he has monthly meetings with me to make sure that we continue to be on the same page so we can continue to move forward. And also to Dr. Kaveen and her lively and very active role leading her team in all of our bar meetings and following up. Our coach really enjoyed meetings with Dr. Kaveen. So he highlights that in there, but really, if you read, it really showcases the consistency in these meetings, how well our teams stay to the agenda, the amount of students we are able to get through and follow up with, and to be thoughtful, and also take into consideration the whole child, where they're at, constantly looking for root cause. He mentions that both for my AOA, ALC, and both for my Packer and my Scarlet teams. And so I've been really happy with their feedback. I will miss, depending on where we move forward, but like the coaching that we received from the bar center these last 3 years is super helpful with continuing to implement this model. And then a couple extra shout outs. Like I said, we so far have, this was as of like the start of fourth quarter, we had sent out over 826 positive postcards between the 4 teams. And then we have discussed over 386 students in team. My 9th grade teams carry about 130, 140 students on a team. That's a lot of students to get through. I have 2 teams racing for the first time to see if we can get through them all. My other bar 10 and ALC teams, they're smaller, about 70 or 80, and we always get through those. We have hit 100% postcards to all, this will be the 3rd year we'll get it. A lot of my teams, every student on the team is getting 2. So we send out, there's a lot of postcards going down the mail. And then lastly, just moving forward, like I said, this completes our 3rd year with bar. So we'll kind of see where that goes. I hope for next year, some of the things I still think we have to work on, and that is refining our EL team and trying to get that structure. I'm working with admin on that. We want to put out student and parent questionnaires. In general, parent engagement is something we want to continue to increase. So getting more feedback from parents about what they want for their child, joining with them so we have common goals, not only for the students' goals, but the parents' goals for their students as well. And refining our community connect, that's our tier 3, our students with the most level of concern or need the most support, to continue to refine that meeting. And one of the biggest things moving forward is, and that I'm so thankful with BAR, is BAR has a ton of things that I say you can use for fidelity checks. They have tons of rubrics, and so we've implemented PD days in which we are completing block meetings, and other, like, my Packer team is doing it, and then my Scarlet team watches and can give feedback. And very specific rubrics about what eye time should look like and what block meetings should look like. And so that's going to be imperative moving forward for us to stick close to that model so we can continue to see some positive gains. And that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions for Karen or I?
Can you talk a little bit about the postcard? Is that like a handwritten personal note to each student?
Yeah, so I think you both can say, we used to just, last year we would just get random ones from Amazon, but we were able to, but then we found we were confusing the mail place, they never knew what school to bill. So we made this year, we have specific ones that say like Area Learning Center, Austin Line, and Austin High School. And yes, they're blank postcards that we handwrite to the students. And yours is handwritten.
Yeah, ours, I mean, we did buy ours from Amazon, but then we were asked, like, when somebody signs a postcard, they put the school it's from. But, yeah, they are handwritten and very, very nice.
It's one of my favorite things because we can forget how the little personal touch is with so much technology, right? And what it means. And to sit in block meetings and hear people, and I've had the personal experience, but hear kids who say, hey, I got your card. And like students will go out of the way to stop someone who did send them a card. And so I think sometimes we forget, especially how like the sincerity and genuineness written in some of those cards. I think that's so important for students to receive.
Yeah, I can talk about some, like I was in a block meeting today and we were talking about a student that a teacher was really wanting help with. You know, she felt like she already tried a lot of strategies, which she had. And one of the other teachers that was part of that small block meeting said, well, have you written a positive postcard? And she said, and they said, you know, well, actually that teacher said, well, I know this student too, you know, and I'll write one, but I think that could help. So it's something that the teachers see that also helps with their relationship with the student.
I have one more comment about your behavior slotting. That's very impressive. I'm so glad to see that decrease. What is a major referral though?
Yep. So a major referral is I mean, the way that we categorize them, we have minor referrals, we have major referrals. Major referral is something that the administration is involved in to a certain extent. You know, a minor referral, a teacher, it's used for documentation purposes, and you know, eventually it could, you know, turn into a major if that behavior continues. But basically, I think one thing that really changed, and this is largely credit to our Dean of Students, and really just looking at it like we are not going to systematically remove students from classes because then they're missing class, and because removal from class is considered a major referral. But she really works with the teachers, maybe works with the students, will go into the classroom to really assess the situation and visit that way so that it doesn't turn into a major referral. And she's also, as part of the big block meetings, she's hearing about things that teachers need help with. And she said that really helps her too, that she has really that pulse on what's going on before it turns into something that she has to deal with in a negative way.
Can I say, I really like the check-ins, I like the 30-minute activities, I like the coaching, I like the fact that you get together and talk about students that every teacher in contact, or 492 students have been contacted. Can you take me back to pre-bar? And, you know, we vote on stuff here that we know very little about, the board members do. I mean, even though you inform us, but can you take us back to pre-bar and what set of circumstances? Because we do sign a contract with this bar organization, don't we? And we maybe have a 3-year or a 1-year or a 5-year contract. Before we signed that contract, what were the things that we were looking to change? What were things that were happening in the district that we thought we need to get something going here?
Specifically, it was our failure in graduation rates. That is what BAR's research, if you look, they failure rate, graduation rates, behavior are all outcomes that have been researched and well-defined. If you go onto their website, that's what you'll see. And so that's what led us there. And it's a high school program. I talked about that in the beginning. It's very hard to find secondary programs, model programs that are started there and actually go the other way. And so that was another appeal, but it was specifically related to our failure rate and graduation rate. And I was gonna say, like what I would say before is high school in particular went away from teaming, and so if I was a student, right, and I had Karen and Sharon and other people, like as a teacher, I would have no idea who that student had for other classes. And so if I was struggling with someone, I wouldn't know who to go to. This brought teams back, and so in 9th grade in particular, this student, I know they have most likely they're gonna have this person for science, this person for social studies, so I know exactly who I can go to help me support this student. So that's a significant change that we were not doing at the high school, and when BAR came, it's a readjustment that we brought in.
Yeah, and I can say, like with Ellis, of course, Ellis came on board after AHS, so AHS was adopted Bar 1 year, and then Ellis was the year after, and then IJ the year after that. And I think that some things that were very appealing, of course, we saw the success at the high school, and I think the district thought, it's worth thinking about and kind of researching a little bit of whether or not this is appropriate for our middle school and then for our intermediate school. And I think it was some of the same outcomes, the failure rate, the behavior data, attendance, which, like we said, we're still working on. But then also those I-time and U-time lessons, which are focused on the social emotional learning, and we felt like we did not have a research-based program for that, and we didn't have a system in place that we were delivering this on a regular basis. And the nice thing about it is that it is sustainable. It's not something where it's not sustainable to put that on our counselor's plate anymore, because our counselors are doing so many other things. So I think that was really appealing as well, from the grade 5, 6, and the grade 7, 8 perspective. And as far as the teaming, just like Andrew said, at different times, both Ellis and IJ have had teaming. It's not that didn't happen before, and they had team meetings. One thing that is different is that the team meetings in the past weren't really focusing on talking about every single student, and they weren't necessarily starting out with strengths. So some of these parts of the BAR model are just what we've seen, and I think I've actually heard Dewey say this, that the depth of the conversation that we have about students, it's just deeper.
Can I just ask one more thing? Carol mentioned in that Southeast Minnesota organization, NAMI, 22% of students suffer from, and that's probably on a low side. I put out that sheet that talked about principals and number one concern is mental health. In the strategic priorities early on, one of the bullet points was multi-tiered systems to support each and every student. How does BAR support those students that may have mental health issues? That, to me, if it's not too big of a percentage, and principals identify, hopefully BAR is dealing with that.
Yep, and really, because we start, at the teacher level and teacher strategies at that small block, but then it goes into, if there's a student that the teachers are like, we've tried things and it's not quite working, they will refer the student up to the big block. Big block would go up to the Community Connect. I mean, I think the level that you're talking about a lot of times is that Community Connect, and that's where we have the social worker there, we have the counselors, we have administration, we have everybody around, we have a school resource officer, we have all those voices in those spaces around the table to really help the students. So I think the way that nobody can completely fall through the cracks in this system, and also too, I'll say yes, there's a procedure, small block, big block, Community Connect, but if we see a student, they can jump one of those levels if they need to, if it's somebody that needs help right away. So I've really seen that.
BAR's model very closely aligns with MTSS. And I think the delivery system of what students need for mental health, I think that's something that is a work in progress. You're absolutely right, the needs are significantly high. And the hope is that this is going to connect our teachers with students and to notice students and to notice these things sooner so that we can get things in place for them. But I say to work towards getting things because we also know that there is a shortage of services for students. And so I won't say like we're gonna, it's beyond the school, really. But I truly believe that the structure in place helps us to identify students and pick them up so we can be working towards that.
And you have the resource to reach out to the community if you did have to.
Yes, our social worker Julie Hale is well versed on community resources, and we know that we are referring out, but it also to find culturally responsive mental health for our population, it is still somewhat of a struggle. There's a lot of layers to understanding the mental health health, and for families to understand mental health, we all view that very differently, but I do think if we go back to the model, it helps us to identify it and to start to work towards interventions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear an overview and request approval for the resolution calling for the sale of general obligation facilities, maintenance, and tax abatement funds for the Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Todd Heffenberg, Vice President Managing Director of PTMA, Michael Parks.
Good evening. I will start this presentation and I'll turn it over to Michael to go through more details. So just a little background. Since November, we've been working with PTMA and ISG to continually look at our facilities and look at our critical needs. During that time, Michael's been really helpful in determining what board authority could be for us to look at funding. As the only time we could be looking at another referendum would be November. So we looked at different funding sources, and in March, Michael and myself came to the board and gained approval to do a tax abatement on parking lots, to do capital facility bonds for about $3 million, and then to move forward with a long-term facility maintenance plus indoor air quality project for $19.2 million. So when we gained approval in March for that, one of the things we asked Michael to do and ISG was to look at a timeline of when these projects can be done, because we cannot start these until summer of 2027 and summer of 2028 to finish. So we asked Michael to look through and look at how we could structure these bonds to ensure we are being stewards of the money and looking at saving on interest expense on that. So I will turn it over to Michael to walk through the plans.
Sorry, I just hit close instead of close.
All right, good evening. So I'm going to start, the first piece of this information is going to be a review for the school board, because we've seen in the past, but there is a new piece of information in terms of how we're recommending that we actually implement the finance plan. The school board approved proceeding forward with this. There's 3 different parts to the board approval, which Mr. Lechtenberg just went through. The indoor air quality project is funded by facility maintenance bonds. The bathroom and electrical service projects are funded by capital facilities bonds, and the parking lots are funded by tax abatement bonds. Those are 3 different statutes under Minnesota law. We do sell them all together, as we can sell them all together as one, what we call a general obligation bond in the school district. Okay, so the statutory references are on there that we're working with. Okay, so the school board has seen this chart before. This chart shows your current debt in blue, or your current bond payments that you have outstanding, and then the bond payments related to the LTFM and the abatement bonds in red, which those 2 parts of the overall plan do add to property taxes. And we have, these numbers are what you've seen in the past couple of months too. The total property tax increase related to this is expected to be $89 on a $200,000 home to fund those 2 parts of the plan. The capital facilities bonds do not increase taxes, but they use part of the operating capital of the school district to pay for them. We're really replacing one bond with the other, so we're planning to pay off that other bond next February 1st. And so the payment structure and budgetary impact of that will be, the schools will have roughly the same amount of money going toward those bond payments as they do currently today. So all of that is kind of review information that the board has seen in the past. And here's the part where there's some new information here tonight. We are recommending that you split the bond financing for this $20+ million of work into 2 parts. And the first part of that, which we're asking for your approval tonight as a part of this resolution, is to fund the first $10 million of abatement bonds. So the abatement bond portion, which is $140,000 that you know the public hearing under, and the remainder of that will be the first part, approximately half, of the indoor air quality project funding. This will fund the project through kind of the middle of the summer of 2027 based upon the drawdown and the expected spend of that money from ISG. The second part will come later, probably in the first 6 months of calendar year 2027. And at that time, we'll sell the capital facilities bonds,
which will fund the restroom remodeling and the electrical service upgrade projects, which are expected to happen in the summer of 2027, so they're on track from that standpoint. And it will fund the remainder of the LTFM funding. So there's a few reasons that we're recommending that you put it into two parts. One, your partners at ISG and others are going to start some heavy lift in terms of design. So there are engineers, architects there for the design of this project. Now that we've given the green light to move forward, they're going to be working in earnest here over the next six or so months to begin ready so that project can be bid out. So you're going to have some expenses related to that, okay? When we're talking about this kind of bond issue too, we're approving it for specific sets of projects. And so we also want to be a little bit more careful on making sure that we borrow the right amount of money. So the school board has approved a maximum amount of money for us to borrow. And the intention would be that second bond issue would be sold at a time which you have already received construction bids back. So our understanding is that the design period will happen over the next 6+ months. Then you have construction documents that will go out to bid, and around the end of this calendar year is when you'd expect to have those construction bids back, which gives us much better information. We're working on estimates, budgetary estimates from experts, but these things change over time. And hopefully that, if that all goes well, hopefully that means we can reduce the amount of borrowing. That would be the best case scenario in this overall. Of course, the other piece of it is once you sell a bond, you start paying interest on it. And so we don't need that other money until we need it, which isn't really in 2027. And so by not selling the bond, we're not paying interest expense on that for approximately a year's worth of time. There are some risks. The primary risk to this kind of plan is that interest rates rise, which we don't have control over market interest rates, and if they do rise, of course that could offset the savings of interest that you receive by not paying interest in the meantime. The second piece, and this is really definitely a transparency piece, is that when you sell two bonds issues, you have to pay the professionals like me, bond attorneys, the firm I work for, 2 different times to go through the process because it's the work happens twice from our end. So what does this amount to in some numbers? The expected cost of issuing the bonds increases by about $85,000 our expectation. The interest rates, if they stay the same, we would save $373,000. We put that into a break even, and last bullet point, what we call a break even, to say if interest rates rise by 0.27%, you're kind of in the same position. So if they rise by more than that in market rates, you'd actually be paying more interest than selling it all today. But if they stay the same or go down, you're in a better position. And of course, we don't control the market, and we don't play the game of trying to predict that as we're working through this. So the timeline for this first $10 million, which is what we're going to ask you to consider taking action on tonight, we have gone through the first steps of this to approve the LTFM plan submission to the state. We have received back the approval letter for the capital facilities bonds. We're working with the engineers on a couple of last pieces to finalize our submission related to the indoor air quality project. You held the last step earlier in the meeting tonight related to the abatement bonds for parking lots, so that now that public hearing has been held, once you take action on this resolution, you have the authorization to proceed forward with that. So over the next couple of months, we'll finalize the authorization in relation to the indoor air quality projects, and we expect to be working on the bond documents, holding a rating, and releasing that to the market by about July 1st. We would sell this first set of bonds on approximately July 8th. The board would see this as a ratification at the regular board meeting in July, and the money would be in hand on August 4th this summer. So the action that you have tonight, the first step is that it does a process or finalizes the process of the abatement bonds, which actually grants the tax abatement in an amount not to exceed $160,000, which is the $140,000 I talked about earlier, plus the expected interest over a 3-year period of time. It allows us to submit an application to the state of Minnesota for the credit enhancement program. This is a program where the state of Minnesota says that they will pay back the bondholders, really the investors who are lending the school district money in any event that the school district cannot pay the bondholders. We do not expect that you need to use that, but it does lower your interest rates. It doesn't cost you anything. And so we'll help you move through the process of that application. And then the last piece is that this action of the school board gives authority to 2 individuals to actually go through the process to execute the bond sale, to finalize the bond sale, enter into a contract, to proceed forward with this. And those 2 individuals include one school district administrator, either the superintendent or the director of finance and operations, so one of those 2 people, and one officer of the school board will need to execute that in order for it to be valid. And they can only, those 2 individuals can only do it if the amount, the interest rate does not exceed 5%, the amount of the bond does not exceed $10 million, and the authority extends through the end of this calendar year if for any reason we may need to delay the timeline that was presented earlier. So that's a review of the actions tonight, kind of in summary. The key piece of new information is that we're recommending to split this into 2 and proceed forward with the first $10 million here this summer. I'll stand for any questions.
According to your timeline, you submitted we submitted the plan to the Board of Education in March. Do you expect them to approve it?
Yeah, so we've received approval back from the capital facilities part, but not yet the LTFM part. And we do expect them to approve it, but we have not received the final authorization yet. We will not proceed forward with the bond sale. And actually, as a part of the resolution, if you read the fine letters, we cannot unless you receive that approval.
Thanks.
What's the current interest rate right now?
Yeah, we would expect to be somewhere in the ballpark of between 4 and 4.25% today. Now we're using in the numbers that I presented to you, the tax impact numbers, we are using a cushion above current market rates of about 0.75% to be conservative, just given that there's a period of time between now, so that if anything, if market rates stay the same, the tax rates would be slightly lower than what we're presenting.
I don't understand the board resolution on the last page, granting property tax abatement not to exceed $160,000. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, property tax abatement, it's kind of confusing the way that it functions in this setting. I know the school board has seen property tax abatement in relation to like new homes or businesses being built, so you're actually abating the tax back to the developer. And this is under the same statute, but it's really a different process. So the taxes to pay back those bonds are taxed at the end of the day in the same exact way that all of your other debt payment levies are taxed. The way that the statute reads is that you have it's an economic development statute at its core, and the school district is allowed to use it for property tax or for parking lots because it provides safe access to public facilities, and that is deemed by MDE to be an economic development item. And that's the only thing that's deemed to be an economic development item. So we identify parcels. You'll see that actually as an addendum to the resolution that benefit from this particular project. And we've gone through the process of identifying parcels. It does not actually matter which parcels select, because any of the parcels in the school district, in our view, would benefit from the same access to these public assets. And there's not any particular benefit to one specific property. And so that's what we're doing, is we're complying with the legal statute for this economic development law. And we're granting the authority to levy this tax that we call a gate and levy to pay back the funds. And I know that's a lot of kind of mumbo jumbo, I don't know how else to say it, but it's not a logical law in terms of how it is applied in this particular circumstance. But it has been widely used in this manner by school districts.
Thanks for the explanation, I appreciate that. But I will say this, that just from my seat at this table, I do trust that you and Todd have investigated this in such a way that it benefits the district. That's the best thing to do. So the legal aid's okay, but I personally trust you to make the correct decision or wrong decision. Thank you for that.
Anyone else have anything? All right, so now we can ask for a motion to approve a resolution calling for the sale of general obligation facilities, maintenance, and tax abatement bonds as presented. Is there a motion? Motion by Susie, second by Dan. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Michael, Lydia, unless you are really interested in this stuff, you have other things you could be doing right now if you'd like to go. Homework. Go do your homework. All right. Go and ready, change your mind twice. Have a good evening. Next, request approval to award the bid for the track resurfacing at Westcott Athletic Complex. Again, Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Michael Lambert.
Thank you guys. So we went back and looked at our existing Mondo track surface that was installed back in 2008, and that's got a life expectancy of about 15 to 20 years. And so again, as we can look at our commitment to have a safe and high quality facilities, not only athletic, but our academic facilities, we came to the school board in our long-term facility maintenance plan and had put in there $550,000 to resurface the track surface. We had asked ISG just to look at it one more time, make sure we were on the right plan with that, and they came back and said yes, that we would only be looking at a resurfacing of the majority of the track, but a few other areas like the long jump runways would need a full reconstruction. So we went out to bid in the end of January, and we received 2 bids. They're up on the screen right now, 1.5 million, 1.7 million. Again, as I mentioned before, our budget had been set at $550,000. After the deadline, we received a quote from Upper Midwest Athletics. The reason that is a quote is they're on a state contract, so they did not have to go through the full bidding process, but what they provided was a gel force system, which is not the surface we currently have in place now. After doing research and continually looking at this, and talking with our director of facilities, and going through our facilities committee, going through our finance committee, we feel the Mondo surface is a better investment because long-term that will withstand the Minnesota winters. The gel force system only has one client, and it's in one kind in the Midwest, and it's in southern Illinois. Otherwise, most of that surface is down south. And depending on the usage of our track, if we go with the gel core, we're looking at a resurface about every 3 to 5 years. So when you take the $550,000 and you look at a 20-year cycle of the Mondo track should last, we'd be looking at probably more costs than investing currently today in the Mondo system. So we're in front of you today with our recommendation as follows: to award the bid to Hewlin Brothers for $1,514,840 and use the following funding mechanisms. Take the $550,000 that was already in the approved long-term facility maintenance plan. And in November, we had assigned $1 million for Westcott Athletic Complex, knowing we were going to need to make some facility improvements out there. And take the remainder, $964,840 out of the assigned funds for the Westcott Athletic Complex. And we will continually, myself, the Director of Facilities, look at building our long-term facility maintenance plan to put back the $964,840 that we have put aside for turf replacement, which we know that facility is also coming towards the end of life expectancy. So we do this investment now, and then look to build up our long-term facility maintenance balance over time. Any questions?
So Todd, the $1 million Westcott complex dollars, that's specific for Westcott, the long-term facility maintenance, that's district-wide monies, right?
Correct. So long-term facility maintenance, when we submitted to MDE, we had put in $550,000 for site improvements, and then we had the board assigned $1 million on this in our financial results, and we had quoted as Westcott Athletic Complex, so that we could look at the facilities out there.
Okay, thanks.
I just want to thank you for the extensive discussion that we had on this at the study session, because this Mondo versus Gelpor system was way above my head, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And
So that gel is a little less expensive than Mondo, isn't it?
And depends on which way you look at it. If you're looking at today's dollars versus if you looked at it over the life expectancy of the track, it'd be pretty much the same, if not a little bit more, just because that Gelpor there's no studies that it would withstand a harsh Midwest winter, and we'd also have to look at different uses of our facilities.
Real quick, can you remind the board if approved, what the construction plan will look like, timing, all that?
Thank you. So if we approve this today or tonight, we will notify Hewlin tomorrow. We'd be looking at a end of June, middle of July start date. We have worked with Hewlin, just had some preliminary conversations explaining that we need the turf field there to be usable. We have soccer, we have other rentals going on in the summer, and they would allow us the ability to always have a walkway onto the turf. There'd be about a week in September where we have to paint the lines and actually paint the Mondo surface, that we would have to take that facility offline, and we've already worked with Athletic Director Katie Carter. We think we know kind of the week, but again, we'll work with her to give us about a 2-week window of probably not having any home games. If we do, we're just gonna move games around in that, but we're gonna work through this as much as we can. Hopefully we have a dry, for at least our purposes, a dry summer, so that we can get our track installation going.
All right, so right now we're looking for a motion then to award the bid for the track resurfacing to Hewlin Brothers as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Don, second by Carol. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Well, I'd like to discuss something before we do this. And I'm talking now as a taxpayer, not as a board member. We heard some anecdotes from fairly knowledgeable individuals that people were out there with snow blowers blowing off the track with their snow blower, and I'm concerned on the tennis court. Michael said that the tennis court was in awesome shape. I'm concerned about skateboarders, rollerblades, just four-wheel bikes, motorcycles. I think we need to have some kind. I know it's a public space, and I know we don't want to be punitive. But at the same time, I think we got to put some signage up that says absolutely prohibited. This, and this. And not necessarily say we will be litigating you to the extent of the law, but just let them know that these things are not acceptable. And I just, if I'm driving by the track and I size 7 with a snowblower, I'm getting out of my car. I'm going to tell you that. I hope community members are, because it's their money. So I hope we can put some signage up and discourage people from using those beautiful, beautiful facilities. But thanks, Todd.
Dr. Page, do we have any security cameras on West End Mall?
We do have some out there in our concession areas too. But that's something that we can look at expanding, and to address your question too around signage, so certainly can explore that. But, yeah.
It's a huge investment. It's worth being able to pull a camera and see who might be analyzing whatever misuse.
Any further discussion? Not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Alright, next we're gonna keep Todd up there and request the approval of donations.
Thank you. It is an honor to be in front of you guys again tonight to go through our donations. We have reviewed all these donations, and they are in accordance with School Board Policy 706, acceptance of the end. So I will read these off and ask for approval at the end. Culver's, $500, AHS FFA. Tristan, $1,500, AHS Robotics. Banfield, PTC, $180, Banfield Elementary. Banfield PTC, $260, Banfield Elementary. AYB Fast Break Club, $300, AHS Boys Basketball. Hustleus Family, $40, AHS Robotics. Community Charities of Minnesota, $500, AHS Adaptive Bowling. Dave Rizit, books valued at $1,700 at each kindergarten student throughout the district. Westminster Church, $200, ESL Department. Again, we'd like to thank all these entities for their donations to our school district.
Is there a motion to approve the donations? Second. Susie and Dan, any discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Alright, next, we're going to have a request for the approval of non-renewal of probationary teachers with Human Resources Director Sue Stark.
Okay, Chairperson Young, Superintendent Page, and members of the board. Tonight I am going to give you the resolution for non-renewing probationary teacher contracts. Whereas Samantha Geving, Ryan Flanders, Sam Good, and Candace Hubin are probationary teachers with ISD 492. Now therefore be resolved by the School Board of Independent School District 492 as follows. Pursuant to the Minnesota Statute 122A.40 Subdivision 5, the probationary teaching contracts of the probationary teachers listed above are hereby non-renewed, and their employment with Independent School District number 492 is hereby terminated effective at the end of the 25-26 school year. The school board hereby approves the following written notice informing the teachers of the non-renewal of their probationary contracts. The superintendent is directed to sign written notices of non-renewal on behalf of the board.
It's my understanding you can make one motion and approve the entire group? Okay. Can I get a motion for the non-renewal of probationary teachers as outlined? So moved. Cece? Dan? Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to just ask a question, either of you two. And I know teachers oftentimes are not renewed for various reasons. Are teachers ever not renewed because their licensure expires or they don't have the proper credentials? And are there any instances of that on this list? Can you tell me which one they are, or is that?
Yeah, okay. Yes, so we have, on this list, we have 3 of them that are not properly licensed in the
3 out of 4 are not properly.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And they can get relicensed and come back and maybe seek employment in the district or elsewhere?
As long as they're applying to something that they're licensed for.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Additional discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Alright, next, we're going to hear all about the approval of the budget reduction plan. Dr. Page and Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Dr. Burns.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Young. Before we begin tonight on this particular agenda item, I just want to say that this is one of the more difficult responsibilities we have, and I want to be clear about why this plan is before you and how we got here. So in January, the board resolution, I had a resolution which the board recognized that financial limitations and operational needs could require reductions in programs and positions and/or department reorganization. As a result, the board directed the administration to explore ways to operate more efficiently and effectively, including potential cost savings through restructuring departments, eliminating positions, and/or reassigning duties. The administration was directed to bring forward recommendations that improve the efficiency and and the effectiveness of our operations and to present those recommendations. We've been working through this over the past several months, board study sessions, through our personnel and finance committees, meetings over, as I mentioned, the past couple months. And this plan reflects the ongoing work and the feedback and direction from those conversations. As Todd will highlight here, the enrollment is projected to decline by 127 students, which represents about $1.75 million reduction in revenue for next year. In addition, compensatory funding is still being finalized at the state level. We do not yet know whether there will be a reduction or hold harmless from the legislature, and the exact amount is not set. Based on our projections, we're planning for an estimated $2.5 million decrease. Taken together, we are planning for an overall impact of approximately $4.25 million heading into next year. This isn't a choice. This is the environment we're operating in. Given that, this plan reflects a disciplined and measured approach. It spreads reductions across staffing, operations, spending, and uses our fund balance in a responsible way to manage this transition. It also avoids overcorrecting in one area and keeping the system stable. At the same time, it stays anchored to what matters most. Safe schools, strong support for students, and preparing every learner for what comes next. And that connects directly to who we are as a district. Our mission is to inspire, empower, and accelerate every learner, and our vision is to prepare all learners to make a difference in the world. That work shows up in our desired daily experience for our students in classrooms and the relationship and the opportunities we provide. This plan was built to protect that experience as much as possible. No one wants to bring forward reductions, but responsible leadership means acting when the data is clear and doing so thoughtfully, transparently, and steadily. And this plan reflects that work.
Thank you, Superintendent Page. So as we go through this plan, consider this plan tonight, it is important to ground ourselves in why we do this work. Our mission at Austin Public Schools is to inspire, empower, and accelerate. Our vision is to prepare all learners to make a difference in the world. These are not just statements, they show up in our daily experiences when we look at our students, in our classroom, in relationships, and in opportunities, and in the support systems we provide each day. This plan was built with that in mind. While we are adjusting to financial realities, the goal has been to protect the daily student experience as much as we possibly can so that our mission and our vision remain real for our students, not just words on a page. This is the standard we use to build this plan, and that's what this recommendation reflects. As Dr. Page mentioned, this plan is being driven by two major primary factors: enrollment changes and state funding. We will continually monitor these trends over time. So as we go to look at our FY27 adopted budget right now, we are looking at our enrollment is projected to decrease 127 students, which would bring us to approximately 4,768 students next year. When we look at that in dollar cents, that would be about $1.75 million reduction in revenue. In addition, as Dr. Page mentioned, we are looking at our compensatory revenue review. This compensatory revenue has been something that's been looked at for the last few legislative cycles, and they've always had a hold harmless put in place. We are still not sure of what the reduction will be. We are not sure if they will have a hold harmless put in there. So as of right now, we are planning, the numbers that we have been provided is the $2.5 million reduction. So just ground says when we combine both those two guys together, we are looking at an overall reduction of about $4.25 million. The plan that we're about to go into addresses that gap. Our approach was to be balanced and measured. We aligned reductions across staffing, around operations, and spending while keeping our mission at the center: continue to inspire, empower, and accelerate every learner. That means protecting the conditions that allow students to grow and succeed, even as we adjust resources. We are going to notice at the very bottom that we have three fund balances that we are going to look to spend down. We've done this in a limited strategic way. This supports stability in the short term while we adjust to long-term realities. It reflects our responsibility to manage resources carefully while staying focused on students. Our vision is to prepare all learners to make a difference in the world, and that work happens in the classrooms, in relationships, and opportunities. While there are impacts, the intent was to minimize disruptions to the daily experiences, keep schools safe, supportive, and focus on learning. Another trend that we're closely monitoring is our enrollment. So this is a presentation that was given to us from TeamWorks. As enrollment and state funding becomes more certain, we'll adjust when needed and bring updates back to the board. This is an ongoing stewardship, staying responsive while keeping our direction steady. Administration recommends approval of the FY27 budget reduction plan. This plan aligns our resources to project revenue while staying grounded in our mission, our vision, and our responsibility to provide a strong daily experience for every student. This allows us to move forward while keeping students at the center of our work. I will open up to any questions.
So, even of those two monetary points about enrollment and compensatory dollars, neither one of those is actually cast in stone because enrollment can change. But Dr. Page, you've had, this $2.5 million is a really serious thing. You, I'm sure, have had communication with legislators in our district. Have you heard anything from them? Do you have an overall understanding of what's going on in St. Paul? I'm sure.
Yes, we have, I've communicated directly with our legislators on this. We've heard back from one of them as they work through committee, and I'm sure when we have more information from them as they go through the legislative process, they'll keep us updated.
So say that number was altered. Would, in the legislative session, gets done on May 20th. We would, and right now you've got your principals making schedules. If dollars came in, would you revisit those schedules? Or would you, depending on the dollars, or?
Yeah, it would really depend on what came out of the legislative session. The compensatory funds that you'll see in the column there are more categorical aid. There's only certain things that we can use those funding pieces for. On the enrollment-related column, those are more general fund specific. And so if there was an omnibus bill or additional funds that came in from the state, it could certainly be helpful for that. And as we go through this process, too, there is an opportunity for the board to restore reductions should the financial environment change on the road. So it doesn't mean that things have to be permanent, but we are presenting them that they are, and the board, when they see fit and have the resources to do so, can restore.
Just so that we're clear on the issue of compensatory aid is really tailored to a district like Austin as opposed to, say, Eden Prairie. Would that be fair, Stephen?
I don't know the allocation at Eden Prairie.
One year we had a presentation with Minnetonka, and we had like a free reduced lunch at 53%, and they had 2%. So that's anecdotal information that I just got processed. But there are some districts. Let me ask you this: there are some districts who receive more compensatory aid than others.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the things to point out too, and you mentioned conversations with our legislative representatives, is how compensatory aid is being calculated right now, moving away from the educational benefits paper form and moving to direct certification for government state programs. And so our concern with that is that it's not accurately representing the poverty level in Austin. Meaning when we pull the direct certification numbers, we have a different poverty rate that's coming from that than what we do historically from the educational benefits form. Reasons for that can be multiple. I think one of the clearest is that we don't have people that sign up for all of our state programs. And that's where they're pulling the certification numbers from. So, and that's harmful with our compensatory aid calculation.
Okay, thank you very much.
We will get an answer one way or another though, by the end of the legislative session on compensatory. There's no way that they could like kick the ball down the road to not give us any answer.
We should have an answer, whether it will be a hold harmless or just fully executing the law, that remains to be seen. But we will have an answer.
So kicking the can down the road basically means held harmless, but you don't believe that's going to be a permanent status for you?
Not in its definition. It means it will be revisited, and we're already on a hold harmless this current year. So at some point, I think that the state will move forward with removing the hold harmless and actually execute the full extent of the law that's been written. As I mentioned, our position too is we want them to work on the formula and find other ways to pull these rates so they accurately reflect our demographics in our school district.
Thanks.
All right, so now we're looking for a motion to approve the budget reductions plan as presented. Is there a motion? By Carol, second. By Susie. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, next up are our delegations. A quick reminder that each presentation is limited to 5 minutes, and no response, reaction, nor action should be taken by the board during the delegation portion of the meeting. The school board will also not hear complaints about individual school employees or permit discussion of such matters in an open meeting. Those complaints must be submitted in writing to school administration. Profanity and use of other inappropriate language will not be permitted. First, we have Rhonda Alberts.
Good evening, Chairperson Young, Superintendent Page, and community members. My name is Rhonda Alberts, and I'm a current employee at Boston Public Schools. I've been a teacher at Boston High School and a member of the World Languages Department for over 30 years. And I'm here today to comment on the recent decision to eliminate all 4 levels of French. I understand that cuts must be made at the district as the district faces financial challenges, and that these decisions are complex and unpopular. However, cutting all 4 levels of the French program represents a significant loss for our students. This decision reveals a disconnect between what students and families desire and the actions that are being taken. After registration this winter, there were over 90 students enrolled in French, enough for 2 sections of 1 section of French 2, and additionally 18 students registered for French 3 or 4. As past practice supports, there are creative ways to offer these options. Eliminating all 4 levels disregards clear student interest and demand. In doing so, we jeopardize college and career readiness for students already on this pathway. The incoming 9th graders who already enrolled in French 1 and current students registered for French 2 would now have to start over to meet potential college recommendations or requirements. Students who have already invested 2 years in French would see their progress cut short. Are we truly data-driven? Students have already created their 4-year plans and registered for next year's classes, yet many families remain unaware of what this cut will mean for their student schedule next year and for their 4-year plan. Most colleges and universities still recommend at least 2 years of study in the same world language, and some require it for admission or graduation. Let me see where I am. Institutions such as the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, the University of St. Thomas, Gustavus Adolphus, St. Olaf, the University of Iowa, Iowa State, and many University of Wisconsin system schools maintain these expectations. Eliminating French removes an important pathway for students planning to pursue these opportunities. As we know, we serve a linguistically diverse population. Currently, 98 students list French as their home language, with others speaking indigenous languages at home in addition to French. Our district has supported students in earning the Minnesota Seal of Biliteracy, but simply hearing another language at home
does not guarantee literacy in that language. Many students who earn the seal of biliteracy do so because of the structured learning and academic development provided by our courses. Removing French as an option directly limits students' ability to reach the level of proficiency they need. We were close to offering a pathway for our heritage French speakers, as we do our Spanish, one that would strengthen literacy in both French and English and build academic language skills. Eliminating French halts this progress and limits opportunities for these students. We are fortunate to offer strong support systems such as BAR, REACH, Austin Aspires, grade level teams, and Packer Seminar to help struggling students succeed. But AHS is so much more than these programs. What is sacrificed by the 70% of students that are prepared for the challenges of high school, that have proven themselves through reaching their full potential, for first 8 years of school, ready to explore all that the high school has to offer. They too deserve to fully explore the pathways and courses and should not be required to spend additional and valuable time on a required elective course. These top students are not in need of additional support or training of soft skills. They have the Packer core values. They have already shown the ability to organize, manage their time, and advocate for themselves, and will continue to develop their study skills, learning strategies, and digital literacy through their 27 other high school courses during their 4 years at AHS. They deserve the opportunity to explore rigorous and meaningful pathways without being limited by reduced course offerings. Requiring them to redirect their plans does not accelerate their learning. Employers consistently rank multilingualism among the most valuable skills across industries. Whether a student becomes an engineer, a business owner, or works in service industries, knowing more than one language strengthens their opportunities. So there is a clear disconnect between what colleges and employers expect and the decision to eliminate the French pathway. There is also a disconnect between what students and families are choosing and what is being taken away. We encourage students to explore diverse pathways, yet we are eliminating one that nearly 100 students selected, and one that is not even introduced to students until high school. Our district has invested significant resources in identifying strengths and building effective programs. Our French teacher has spent 24 years developing expertise in her field. Removing this program disregards both that investment and the benefits it provides to our students. Reducing the World Languages Department to just 3 teachers is already a strain and will require one of us to teach an overload next year.
Thank you, Ms. Alberts.
We want all of our students to succeed.
Thank you.
As we just heard, these cuts are not finalized. I beg you to please reconsider until these are finalized. Thank you.
Do we want to group our French folks together or go in order? What's that? What are we hear next from Emily Wakefield?
Good evening, members of the school board, Superintendent Page, fellow educators and community members, and I think even one former student. I'm Emily Wakefield, known as Madame to students in my classes. Almost exactly 18 years ago, I was offered the French position here, and almost exactly 10 years ago, I wrote a letter to the school board and district offices. I saved everything, so I'd like to share a few excerpts with you. I wanted to take a minute to first express my gratitude for the maternity leave I was granted for the full 2015-2016 school year. It has helped me focus my attention where it was needed, and as a result, I am eager to return this fall and have already found myself searching for new ideas for the classroom. I also wanted to say how proud I am to be a member of the Austin School District. Prior to my employment here, I had spent 8 years teaching in a college prep private high school. It was a great beginning for me, but it wasn't quite the right fit. When I relocated to southern Minnesota, I felt very fortunate to be hired by APS. At the time, I know other districts were cutting French, especially after a teacher had retired. I appreciate the foresight of the district to maintain the French program and to continue to offer kids a choice in which language to study. This is something I do not take for granted, as I know it is not the case everywhere. Sadly, 10 years later, I found myself blindsided by how quickly my program faced elimination. I do understand that it has to be incredibly difficult to confront this budget and make tough decisions. I don't understand removing a program that has been in existence at AHS for more than 50 years, with anywhere from 90 to 160 students participating in it. When I first started teaching, the number of native and secondary speakers of French was 200 million. Now that number has almost doubled and is close to 400 million. We've also seen an influx in Austin of native speakers of French from West Africa. The French language is experiencing a renaissance, adding to its relevance both here and around the world. Despite budget cuts and fewer students in their French programs than mine, my colleagues in Owatonna and Albert Lea report that as of now, both of their French programs are safe. Those districts have committed to relevance, representation, and offering language choices to students. When I first arrived here in 2008, world language classes were offered in some capacity to grades K through 12. Unfortunately, in the past 7 years, between the elimination of the World Language Explorations class at Ellis and reducing the number of electives most freshmen can take by half, we have seen a significant dip in enrollment in both Spanish and French classes. We are an important pathway, but our road is often blocked. We are a department that has been reduced by nearly half its members in just 2 years. And yet we were highlighted just 2 years ago for having the second lowest failure rate in the high school, with my students having the lowest failure rate within the department. There is magic happening in the world language department. It might be assumed that learning another language is only about memorizing vocabulary and conjugating verbs. It's nice, but maybe not necessary. But the truth of its benefits goes so much deeper than that. In 1946, right after the end of World War II, President Harry Truman signed the Fulbright Act into law. To quote the program, this act aimed to increase mutual understanding and support friendly and peaceful relations between the people of the United States and the people of other countries. I was lucky enough to be a Fulbright recipient in 2001-2002, serving in France. At my very core as an educator, I believe in everything the Fulbright program stands for. Learning about another language and culture provides students with employable skills such as conversing civilly and confidently in person, actively listening and embracing curiosity in place of judgment. All of this in turn builds something this world needs more of. Learning another language also boosts overall literacy skills. For 12 of the past 17 years, I've had an hour and a half round-trip commute to get here. Students have asked why I would drive this far if I could be employed closer to home. My answer? Because of you. I love what I teach. I love the Austin community, and I think Austin students are the best. Teaching French is how I most effectively reach students. I implore members of the school board to please reconsider this elimination, especially if the budget forecast improves. Maybe it's a now thing, but hopefully not a forever thing. In a community with a beautiful tapestry of over 40 languages, why would we offer students only one choice in a world language? Thank you.
Next up, we have Heidi Mori and Nicole Feeney.
Good evening, my name is Heidi Mori, and in the interest of time and the fact that there is a lot of weather happening currently, a few minutes, I'm representing both Nicole and myself. So maybe let me start back over to my introduction. Good evening to all of you school board members and Chair Young, Superintendent Page, and community members. Like I said, in the interest of time, I would really like to read Nicole's testimony of her experience in the Austin Public Schools French program. I'm here tonight to ask for you to really consider maintaining the French program in Austin Public Schools and the importance of it. So she has given me permission to share this with you. In Nicole's words, in 2012, I was a freshman at Austin High School. Like many freshmen, I was uncertain and overwhelmed by the fact that I had 4 short years to figure out what I wanted to do at the beginning of my adult life. Little did 14-year-old Nicole Schoen know she had picked a French class that would influence her life forever. Being in Madame Wakefield's class was more than a French class. It was a complete cultural experience. Madame Wakefield's French class sparked a deep love for world cultures and languages within me. She opened my eyes to the world. In my adult life, I have realized an inseparable correlation learning a second language has had in my current career and everyday life. Learning French at Austin High School with Madame Wakefield and our student teacher from France, Elise, has directly impacted my 7-year teaching career here at APS. The skills I learned in French class have allowed me to build lifelong, meaningful connections with students and their families. When I speak French in the halls at IJ, students stop in their tracks, and one of 2 things happen. 1, they look at me very confused and inquire about what pretty language I'm speaking. 2, and this is my favorite, they turn around with wide eyes and ask, "You speak French?" To which I say, "Oui, je parle français." After I say this, I am normally slammed with a hug or get extremely enthusiastic. Moi aussi. My ability to speak French has allowed me to connect with students who aren't in my language learning classes. Almost all students, whether they are multilingual or not, always ask where I learned to speak French. I proudly tell them I started learning French in high school here in Austin, and you can too. As an EL teacher, I have the privilege of working with the most wonderful multilingual families in our district. On numerous occasions, French-speaking guardians have been brought to tears while talking to me, for a very simple yet powerful reason. I can understand their language. To direct quote a parent, "I am so sorry for my tears. My family has been in the United States for 5 years, and I have never had a teacher that can understand my family's language." Take a moment and imagine this. Spending 5 years in a new country without having one educator fully understand you or your family. It is because of the French programming at AHS that I am able to understand our French-speaking families. Because of Madame Wakefield and the French program at APS, I now have the power to give families a voice that would otherwise not be understood. The French program in our district is a gift. As a homegrown K-12 APS student, graduate, and now educator, I am living, breathing proof of the value of our French program. Now I implore, please reconsider closing the door on Austin's French program. And many of the things that I was going to mention in my presentation have been touched on. And so I appreciate your time. I want to thank Nicole for her amazing testimony. And there are many other students that I'm sure would share the same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, let's hear from Phil Burkhardt.
Good evening. Is that correct? Okay. I've been teaching for 50, if I count, so I've been 53 years now. 30 regular teacher in Austin as orchestra teacher, and 10 more as and consultant. I want to thank you all for the tough work that you do, sincerely. It's a very difficult job, and the time that you give is well appreciated. I also want to thank you historically, the support you give in the music program. We have one of the finest in the state, and it's mainly because of the support of the administration and the school board through the years. Music education changes kids' lives. Let me say that again. Music education changes kids' lives. It makes them smarter, more disciplined, more compassionate, and more successful in life. That's been shown to be true in study after study. And the music teachers in Austin, K through 12, are some of the best in Minnesota. In my travels as a music judge around the state, I hear many, many groups, and I've talked to a lot of teachers, and this is what I hear time and again. Austin is well respected for the quality of its performing groups, but also, and we don't always realize this, they are also respecting us in the fact that we do everything possible to get everyone who's interested into our music program, regardless of the background, regardless of their socioeconomic levels. We will do everything to get everyone into our programs. And the numbers are growing, it shows that. I have also heard time and again about how important small group lessons are to a program. They affect both the quality of a program and the ability of the teachers to reach the kids who most need our help. I think it's important to know that the lessons that we give in the high school, there are 2 periods that each of the high school teachers get to teach lessons. In this discussion, we're moving either one or both of those periods. Group lessons are not individual, private lessons. They are small groups that meet once every 3 to 4 weeks, and I'm talking high school. They are the best method we know of differentiating instruction, as each student is assessed and a plan for improvement is begun. It's a time for teachers to connect with students. And these lessons are key to Austin's Music Department's long history of success because they have a huge effect on the child's progress, both in music and in life. So many times I have seen a student being helped by a word of encouragement from a nurturing music teacher. Okay. And the effect is amazing. A boost of confidence, a sense that they are accepted, they are special, and if they work hard, they are capable of achieving great things. And this is especially true for those kids who come from disadvantaged homes or are dealing with struggles in their lives. These are the kids who will suffer the most if lessons are discontinued. We don't expect every child to be a professional musician, but we do expect them to be better human beings. And lessons are an important part of that process. About 3 weeks ago, I was subbing for Mr. Scott, and I had a lesson, a makeup lesson. The student came in to play for me, and he was distressed, visibly distressed. He was shaking, nervous. I said to him, "Are you okay? Do you want to continue with this?" And he said, "I'm sorry, I'm having issues at home, but I do want to play for you today." He said, and I quote, "I need this now." It bears repeating. He said to me clearly, "I need this now." That's what we're here for. And then as he left, we talked a while, and then as he left, he said, we talked a little bit about music in his life, and he said, "Music will always be with me. It's such an important part of my life." And he thanked me for his help. And then he sat down later that day and played the Vivaldi A minor violin concerto. An amazing, amazing feat. This comes at a crucial time as numbers in the music department in general and the high school performing groups in particular are growing, and so many more kids will need our help. Well over 300 presently in the high school play and sing in our music groups. And you'll hear later about the numbers that have increased in the lower grades. This makes lessons even more important. These kids are looking for something in their lives that music can provide. If you believe in differentiation, if you believe teachers need to connect with students, if you want to preserve the quality of our music program, please do all you can to keep a small group lesson program in the high school.
Thank you, Mr. Berger.
You will not regret it. You will continue to change kids' lives. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Judy Dorndal.
Hi, Judy Kierno, parent of 2 students who went through the music program, graduating in 2013 and 2014. Thank you for this opportunity to address the board. As everyone has said, I too recognize the difficulties you face when in the position of adjusting budgets to educational goals. I must admit to not being 100% clear on what has been proposed regarding custom music program, and this is based on published information. However, I would like to speak to the importance of in-school group lessons outside of the instruction provided in full ensemble, band, orchestra, and choral classes. Group lessons encourage growth and skill development through targeted instruction and peer support. These lessons engender section awareness, emphasize the importance of listening to each other, playing as an ensemble, and reaching a performance goal. Most importantly, in-school group lessons put students on a more equal footing. Not all families have the wherewithal to finance, provide transportation to, and track private out-of-school lessons. Music classes with the full ensemble are not the proper setting for targeted student-specific instruction. The extra work required to bring a piece of music to the level of being ready to perform really requires a separate group lesson instruction. Plus it provides additional emphasis on how to practice. And music instruction isn't important only for the sake of music, because it also teaches discipline, it builds confidence, and the ability to recognize when a task, be it a piece of music, a job application letter, fabrication of an item, has reached the level of ready to be shared with a wider audience. Quality music education is a part of what has distinguished our community for years. Our reputation for excellence has attracted highly talented music educators whom we now employ. I hope that these excellent, dedicated teachers will continue to have the opportunity to transmit their expertise and enthusiasm for music to our students. Finally, speaking for myself and my family, music has been a lifelong source of joy, connection, and outreach. My husband Lee and I were fortunate to attend high schools that valued music highly and that offered group lessons. And so were our kids. I know Austin will remain a music-focused community, but it feels like our kids will be losing ground in the areas of skills and confidence. The confidence required to share their love of music with others, whether that be with their own families, friends, or wider as professional performers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Nicole Christensen.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Nicole Bevis Christensen, and I'm here as both a parent and a former student of Austin Public Schools. I'm also speaking on behalf of my husband, Brian Christensen, who is currently at a Violin Builders Conference. We are both products of this district's music program, and we are deeply grateful for the role it played in shaping our lives. We sat in this very building in orchestra chairs and choir risers under brilliant teachers such as Sue Radloff, Phil Burkhart, and Brian Johnson. Teachers that didn't teach music, or teachers that didn't just teach music, but saw something in us and pushed us to become more than we thought we could be. These programs didn't just teach us how to play notes on a page. They taught us discipline, confidence, and how to strive for excellence. A critical part of that experience was access to small group lessons, which allowed us to grow at a pace and depth that simply isn't possible in a large group setting. Music became a lifelong pursuit for us. Brian went on to build a professional career in music, performing on the Grand Ole Opry for 17 years, touring internationally and winning many accolades. He's also a proud member of the 2025 Austin Musicians Hall of Fame. I have also continued performing both instrumentally and vocally. We share this not to highlight our accomplishments, but to illustrate what is possible when students are given the right opportunities. Our accomplishments were made possible because of the foundation we received here in the music program. For many students in our district, especially those who may not have the means to pursue private lessons, school-based small group instruction is the only pathway to that kind of growth. Small group lessons are where students are truly seen. It's where a teacher notices the subtle tension in a bowing, the slight hesitation in a breath, or the spark of a student who might otherwise go unnoticed. It's where confidence is built, one small breakthrough at a time. Without more personalized instruction, students will often plateau. They don't get the tailored feedback, the technical correction, or the encouragement they need to truly advance. And when that happens, we risk losing not only potential musicians, but students who might otherwise find confidence, identity, and belonging through music. The budget is being cut in response to lower overall attendance. However, the attendance in music programs is rising. My daughter, Elsie, is in the 6th grade orchestra, where they are bursting at the seams. The 6th grade orchestra has 90 students. There are 120 students in the 5th grade orchestra. This is 30% of the total number of students. Many orchestra programs are lucky to get 10 to 12%. Retention is also growing, moving from grade to grade. It has doubled in the last few years of kids moving from IJ to Ellis. In a lower income district such as ours, not every family can afford private lessons. Cutting small group lessons might save money, however, it removes access entirely for those students. We're telling some kids, whether we mean to or not, they can participate, but they can't truly excel. They can sit in a group, but they won't be given the tools to rise above. While we like to talk about all-inclusiveness and equity in our public schools, cutting small group instruction directly conflicts with this idea. Austin has long taken pride in its music program. Austin is Arts was recently an article published in the Austin Packer Bulletin. It reflects community pride, history, and a place that supports the arts. That pride is well earned after decades of generations have been given the opportunity to learn, grow, and fall in love with music. The argument is being made by making these minor cuts to small group instruction. The program is being preserved. However, small group lessons are truly the foundation of a strong music program. When we cut them, we are not trimming a budget line. We are not just trimming a budget line. We are weakening a pipeline that has taken decades to build. Programs rarely disappear all at once. It starts with one cut that seems manageable, then another. Opportunities shrink, enrollment declines, and eventually the program no longer has the strength to survive. This is how vibrant music programs fade, not because the community stopped caring, but because the support structures were gradually removed. Budget decisions are often driven by short-term financial pressures, not long-term vision. If we believe that music matters in our school, if we believe it builds discipline, creativity, a sense of belonging and pride, then we must protect the elements that make it effective. Small group instruction is not expendable, it is essential. Without it, we are not just saving money, we are sacrificing opportunity, equity, and a piece of who we are as a community. Thank you.
Thank you. Tyler Myers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tyler Myers. I stand before you as an educator and a veteran of the United States Air Force. In the military, we are guided by 3 core values: integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. I believe in Austin Public Schools, but as a veteran, I know that when a mission drifts from its core purpose, those on the ground must sound the alarm. Tonight, I am doing that. We have entered a phase of what's called mission creep. This is where gradual shifts result in unplanned, long-term consequences and commitments. We have seen hundreds of thousands of dollars poured into rebranding, surface appeal, district-wide initiatives like strength training. While these sound good during the pitch and look greater on social media, the boots on the ground, our teachers and our students are reporting a different reality. Last spring, we watched veteran educators cry as they read their resignations. They didn't lose their passion. They were leaving because their expertise was ignored, as were their passions. This year, we are seeing repetitive behaviors. When we prioritize surface appeal over the substance of the classroom, We aren't achieving excellence. We are simply managing optics. This is our mission creed. The consequence, or at least one of them, happens to be the death of student voice and choice. The freshman seminar was pitched as a foundation for students. It has become a roadblock. Because this is a required year-long elective, it has decimated the master schedule. When you force every incoming student into one specific course, you create a ripple effect that damages the arts, music, and world languages. We talk about the pathway as a way to explore interests, but how can a student explore a pathway, or numerous pathways, if that path is immediately blocked? Elective courses allow students to explore interests outside of what is required, but they have been pushed into a destructive cycle. Administration sees lower enrollment in electives, which leads to fewer sections offered. Please speak with all the elective teachers to learn more. Fewer sections lead to scheduling conflicts. Please speak with the counselors to learn more. And ultimately, students are being forced into classes they didn't choose in subjects they have no interest in, simply because there is nowhere else to put them. Please speak with all of the students to learn more. Families are leaving Austin. Despite Austin Public Schools' previously projected enrollment increase, they are chasing the opportunities we are cutting by looking toward live, PSEO, or online options. We have reached a compromise of values. The district's strategic plan lists 5 core values. We're looking at our mission assessment right now. Responsible. It is not fiscally responsible to fund branding and countless new initiatives while cutting the programs that make students want to come to our schools. Learning. We cannot claim to value learning if we ignore the feedback of our most experienced staff and our students who are struggling the most. Contributor. What are we contributing when just last week it was said that we celebrate diversity while we simultaneously cut programs that allow students to connect with it? The path forward is through unity and calibration. I'm not here to cast blame. I am here to call for that recalibration through unity. In the Air Force, excellence in all we do doesn't mean doing 100 things at a mediocre level. It means being great at our core mission. We are subtracting from our existing greatness to fund shiny new programs without addressing developing real-time consequences. My ask to the board is threefold: pause and evaluate. Conduct an immediate, transparent review of the freshman seminar's impact on the master schedules, students, and staff. Number 2, re-engage the experts. Please bring the teachers and the students to the table. Ask those that are being most impacted. What can we do for you? How is this helping? How is this hurting? Number 3, prioritize the classroom. Every dollar spent on a brand or another initiative is a dollar not spent on a music lesson, a world language experience, or access to a pathway a student hopes to explore. Let's stop trying to look like we are improving and start doing the hard work of actually being great. Let's bolster a system that honors student voice, respects staff expertise, and puts resources where they matter most, in the hands of our students. Let's include all voices in this effort and show everyone that we are indeed the pack. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is a reminder of the school board study session on Monday, April 27th at 4 p.m. And right now, the board will enter into closed session.
And we have to watch
We can ask.
they weren't on the agenda. I don't know if they can speak.
Oh.
quickly.
If they're not on here, can we take them?
Go ahead.
Sharon, do you have their names?
I do not.
Could you your names, please?
Sophia Minor, Addison Gomez.
I'm sorry, can you repeat those?
Sophia Meyer, M-E-Y-E-R. And Addison Tobak, T-O-B-A-K. Hi, my name is Sophia Meyer, and I'm a senior at Austin High School, participating in 2 varsity sports as captain, band as a treasurer, I'm Spanish 4, and NHS as treasurer. I'm Addison Tobak, and I'm also a student here. I have participated in many music ensembles with leadership roles, a varsity sport as a captain, I'm in Spanish 4 and NHS. Throughout our time here, the music program has had a huge influence on us, and it saddens us to see that some things which helped us learn will be changing for students moving forward. One thing that has really helped us grow is lessons. That leads us to our first point. It will be much more difficult for teachers to continue impacting students' learning when they are teaching such large classes with no individual time. In band, the ability to sign up for a lesson whenever you need help on our curriculum music or other music is something I have taken for granted and now realize which effect then tumbles on an unfortunate scale. These lessons now provide students with an opportunity to grow as a musician. Throughout my time here, I have learned a lot about music, much of it coming from lessons. Lessons enhance our performances, and without them, the level of music we produce would likely decline. From a choir perspective, I came into choir with little to no knowledge on how to sight sing music and would not have learned properly without Mr. Ackerman helping me in choir lessons. I already had music knowledge from band going into this, so it would affect someone only participating in choir even more. Most students would not know how to sight sing properly, and it would dramatically push back the level we sing and work at. Another way individual time with my teachers has affected me is at the start of this year, I thought that music is what I wanted to go into. I would sign up for times with Mr. Dundas, and he would help me to figure out logistics, like how to sign up for an audition and what music to use, for one. This was an incredibly helpful resource, and although I didn't decide to go into music, there are many kids who do, and it still helps me to find the correct path. There are a lot of music majors that come from our school, and without the resources to these helpful tools, who knows if we would get the same number of interest. Music lessons through other sources can get very expensive, commonly costing about $50 for a 1-hour lesson. This can add up to over $900 for a semester worth of lessons. Offering the ability to get better without financial burden gives every student equality and the ability to reach their highest potential. The music plan to get rid of is almost impossible to get back. Best case scenario, music programs will start to plateau or even start degrading. Music is such a big part of our community and is growing every day. What message does this send? When schools have to make cuts, it's not uncommon for electives and music to be the first to go. According to Right for Education, these decisions are rarely easy, but they tend to favor subjects perceived as more directly tied to test scores or job market. With rising demands for academic performance and standardized testing, music sometimes gets pushed aside, not out of disregard, but as a strategic choice. I believe our school does not have to follow this trend. I believe our classes should support the musical interest in our school. For as long as I can remember, I always struggled to find a place I felt like I fit in. After moving to Austin, I found my love for music and the community that was brought together by it. The opportunities given here have driven me to become even more passionate, as well as helping me form connection with people similar to me. A hobby which I fell in love with became a place that also made me feel less alone and more understood. It taught me a sense of community. I wouldn't want this community to be neglected because it is so impactful and important to me and to so many others. When looking at the support of our community, I know that it's not lacking for the music department. While applying for scholarships, both of us noticed that the number of scholarships directed towards music students was high, many of these being given on the local level, showing the support that our community has for music. While participating in jazz band and marching band, I have seen firsthand the support that the community gives. We have played at many places for many people, and I love seeing the impact being made across all generations. After this year, I will be gone, and this will no longer affect me, but it will affect the lives of my teachers. These people have done so much for me. I have participated in wind ensemble, concert choir, full orchestra, Austin Ayers flute choir, and other music ensembles, so I've really gotten to know all 3 teachers at the high school. Mr. Dundas has been a huge help when I needed it while applying to colleges, scholarships, and he even helped me to figure out my future. Mr. Ackerman has helped me to find my voice and love of performing. He taught me to see past my worst moments, focus on positives, and to always be kind to those around me. Mr. Scott has been welcoming and understanding to me and others, band kids, and full orchestra. These are the people who taught me to believe in myself and are so much of the reason I feel so ready for my future. I am a senior leaving this year, but I could not have possibly said nothing for the people who have supported me to become who I am today before I leave. Thank you.
Thank you all. All right. And with that, can I get a motion to enter into closed session? Second by Carol. In favor?